Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word.
This isn't a nerky. You just think it is. It's actually a episode
Regular one.
of it's just a regular one. It's Every Man's Guide. And if you are watching this, I think you can see Kyle and I are in the moving pictures.
We are the moving pictures. Audience doesn't seem
we
too
are the
enthralled.
moving pictures.
They're captivated.
No, they don't.
We have a captive
They
audience.
suck. And we even paid them to be here.
We did. Obviously not enough.
That's actually how we get most people to listen to our. No, that's mostly how we get people to listen to this. But
Checks in the mail, BRob.
So
sweet. Don't
welcome.
cash it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Call me before you
2
run
weeks,
that thing through
try
the
2
bank.
months.
Yeah. Let me know before you run that.
2 months, dude. So welcome to Every Man's Guide to Nerddom, where we are two 30 to 40 something year olds who talk about pretty much whatever we want. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle. You guys might know us online as Guyver for Chris and K-Safe for me. That's what we use on the Twitches. And with us again as we're plowing our way through the MCU Phase 1, our good longtime friend, Mr. BRob. Looks like you finally thought it out, like you're mobile now. Last time, you didn't even blink through the whole damn show.
It was amazing.
Believe me, everybody's going to want to go back to that picture with me holding up a Guinness and not blinking after they see all of this.
I was getting angry, like, drink the damn beer. Drink the beer.
He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't. He just held the beer for 2.5 hours.
It was really warm. Good thing I wasn't a car bomb. I would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
So, but
it's a Guinness. Warm Guinness isn't bad.
No, I mean, it's
drink
Guinness. So
it's Guinness. It's
at the time we're recording this, we just released part 2 of MCU, I believe, this morning. And the Nerky number 6, which is episode 9 for us. So you can go out and listen to Mr. BRob and his analysis on part 2. So we are literally plowing our way through this. And the problem is I knew we would not get through all 3 of these movies because they're just so massive. And the problem is I have a feeling once we start plowing through, and I'm just going to use the word plowing through because that's what we try to do.
It's still pretty close to Valentine's Day, so we can use the plowing.
We can say
reference.
that because I'm fairly certain there was no plowing in any house.
Snowplow? No, the snowplows didn't even show up in my damn house.
Oh, mine didn't either.
So,
it's
sons of bitches.
We are in the middle of a really massive, the 3 of us, snowstorm here, which is a historic cold. It is a negative 14 right now with the wind chill. And we're all pretty close geographically in the state. And it's nuts just how much snow. Then they're predicting more snow. Mark my words. So they already told us, don't expect the kids back till at earliest Thursday, Friday. I have a feeling the kids won't even be in this week.
No. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really getting damn tired of being part of history the last couple of years.
I would like to make history in a different way. Like the dude who, like the streaker at the Super Bowl, the guy who made like $4,000 or however much it was. Yeah. Like, that's how I'd like to make history, or, not pandemic and
I heard that's
cold.
still unfounded. That the guy would may have just been running his mouth, because I have a feeling if he would have made that bet and it was connected back to him that he's the one who did it, but he plays bets, some guys with some brass knuckles would be showing up.
Yeah. He'd be having some thumb issues.
He could not play pinochle anymore.
Yeah, this cold sucks. We're just throwing that out there.
So it sucks. My little My little Hawaiian ass hates it. I'll put it that way. Someone made fun of me because like my heater cannot keep up with this. I was telling BRob earlier, and I think I was telling Kyle too. Like we found out that when we moved into this house, the builder undersized our air conditioner, so we had to replace that like a summer ago. Well, guess what we found out the hard way during this extreme cold, that the builder undersized the heater as well, because I had it, normally set around 74. Normally I like it like we're about 70-ish, 72, but the girls get cold, so it's struggling. Like I'm just watching it drop and drop and drop. And when I worry about shit, like I start worrying about it, and so I can't sleep. So I'll get up, like when I got up at like 1 to go check, it was just dropping, and it was like 66, and so I couldn't go back to sleep from there. It's just one of those things that, as a nerd, that's the kind of shit you obsess about. You get an idea in your head and you just can't get it out. Like if I can't find something, I'm the same way. I know it's in the house somewhere and I won't rest until I find it. I mean, do you guys have any weird obsessions like that as nerds?
Mine is the completionist side of it. Like if I'm watching a series, we talked about this a little bit last night too when we did our WandaVision stuff. That like I've been going through rewatching the old X-Men movies because I've never watched all of them. And so I was messaging Chris as I was going through. I'm like, hey, I'm watching, X-Men. I'm watching X2. And he's like, oh, you don't really have to watch those. Those don't even really count. Then, I'm like, okay, well, I'm on to Wolverine origin stories. Like, no, you don't really have to watch those. Like, but I have to. I can't not watch them. Like, if I'm going to watch
in
all
the broader
of them,
universe.
yeah, I'm going to watch. If I'm going to watch them, I'm going to watch all of them. That's my.
What about you, BRob?
List guy. I'm a big list guy. So like every morning, like especially for work, I make my list and then try to cross out as much stuff. Usually I end up adding double the stuff onto the list without completing anything. But that's probably my biggest deal. Or when I'm randomly thinking about something, type it into my phone as a note, so I'll remember to go look it up later because I can't remember. My short-term memory like that's awful.
But do you end up going back to it? Or is you one of the ones you have to put it down and then you forget to go back to it?
Yeah, no, I have to get back to it. It's just I have to write it down, or I just
it's gone.
lose my mind.
And that's kind of what being in this category is. You get these weird obsessions of stuff that you have to do. It's almost like a obsessive compulsive disorder. It's almost like OCD, but I think it's a little bit less, or it could be full on blown. I don't know. I'm not gonna go see a doctor about it. So with that, let's dive into Captain America, the First Avenger. Arguably the best plot-driven Marvel movie that they have done to date. My opinion. Totally my opinion on that. But everything about this movie was fleshed out phenomenally. From the backstory to, we're going to pick it apart. Don't get me wrong. And there's going to be some stuff that we didn't like in it, but I think the overall consensus is it's just a damn good movie. So
yeah, I definitely agree. Like we talked about before, I definitely don't think it's one that it could have started off the series, but like you said, it's very well developed.
So with that, Captain America: The First Avenger was released. So 2011 was a big year for Marvel. It was a big year for Marvel. July 22nd, 2011 was Captain America: The First Avenger, directed by Joe Johnson. So we start off on Captain America: The First Avenger by, it's the Arctic, and it's your classic terrible snowstorm. And you see a modern car and like a guy walking with like this lantern, almost stick lantern. And you don't know if this guy's a scientist or whatnot. You assume he's a scientist, but he's talking to these other guys, asking if they're from the government. And because he's found something. And lo and behold, they find what looks like the wing of something. We don't know what it is. And the pole is like those runway lights
Yeah.
that they're putting down. And then what I thought was really cool is they have this sort of a laser machine going on at it, just
Lasers.
spinning the circle, lasers. And, you know, then they're lowered down into whatever it is.
It's
So
probably
when
a
you
weather
guys
balloon.
saw, it's a weather balloon. You know, they're walking around and it's obviously some sort of cockpit, some sort of machine. The first, and this is within all the first 3 minutes or so. They get to the front and then all of a sudden they see something inside the ice that's kind of reflective, and it's like a red reflection. And so they move away, you know, the snow from the ice, and they call over. What did they say? Did they say something to the effect of "We found him"?
Catching up with you. I'm doing the scene by scene thing again.
Yeah, it's something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, something. Okay, yeah, it was something like "We've waited long enough," and it's Cap's shield in the ice. So, what did you guys think at this point in time when you watched it? Because I remember it being in the theater, and we knew it. You know, we knew we paid the ticket for Captain America. We knew it was going to be something Captain America related, but I remember at the time just sitting in the theater, just getting goosebumps, just being so damn excited, going, "It's Cap's shield! You know, this is awesome." I mean, and that was kind of that to me, like being in a theater watching these, that's kind of the magic of it too. Like everyone's going through kind of the same emotions.
Right.
Because I remember the guy like 2 seats down from me going, "Oh damn!" yelling out, and you know, we all just started cracking up. But it was just, I just remember being so happy because one of my childhood heroes was actually coming to life in a good movie. We were assuming.
And Marvel does such a great job of every movie has a moment like that. And I mean, there's so many of them that just stand out to me. And this was, I agree with you, Chris. I mean, whether it was as a kid pretending, you know, the trash can lid was the shield, or a frisbee was the shield, or whatever. The very, very iconic moment.
And it is. It's just something about the magic of watching these, bringing your childhood heroes to life. And this is one of those moments for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it ranks up there with as far as the emotion of Thanos when he
The snap.
snapped
Yep.
his fingers, when Cap picked up Mjolnir later on. I mean,
Yes.
there's these moments, and it's at one point in Age of Ultron where Cap, you think Cap's going to pick it up, and you're like, oh my god, he's going to pick it up, and then he can't pick up Mjolnir for whatever, you know, because none of them are worthy at that time. So they just do such a good job of setting that stage and getting everybody on the edge of their seats. And sometimes you're, dang, or sometimes you're just
Yep. Or watching Meow Meow.
I like the build up,
Yep.
like what you're talking about. Like you're on the edge of the seat, and like, oh man, like I like that. There's plenty of those in there too, where it's not predictable. Like,
right.
because you can see like the build up happening, that something epic is getting ready to happen, and if it happens every single time, it loses its effect. So just like that, you know, Cap not being able to pick up Mjolnir, the little disappointment. Not disappointment's a bad word, but you can't have just tons of positive stuff. You got to have the ups and downs and
It makes the next thing that much better.
yeah.
I completely agree with all that. I'm getting my place back in the show notes here. You know, once we get to that, then we go through the title scene, and then we have. Damn it! Hold on, I lost my spot. Someone take it from here while I get my spot on the notes again.
So then it goes to Johann Schmidt.
There we go. Oh, that's right.
Entering the monastery looking for the artifact The Jewel of Odin's Chamber, I believe is how maybe
Kyle,
how
what was it called?
referenced.
Just looking here. I don't remember what they
Because
called
we
it.
just in the Thor episode we called it something.
Oh, it was the. I'll tell you right here. I have it wrote down. I also forgot the Casket of Ancient Winters.
That's right, but they didn't call it that. But that's what we knew it as
Mhm.
the time.
And it was.
So okay,
I don't know what it was about, and it happened a lot in this movie to me, and it's probably just because of the particular imagery. I had so many just like Indiana Jones moments with it, like just like we're they're in the opening scene. It's probably just because it's Nazis. That may just be it, but there's just a lot of moments that I kind of had that. That's how I relate things in my head. Like this movie reminds me of this movie. This reminds me of this movie. And I'm always looking to see, did somebody borrow this from here? Did they borrow this from here? Or were they influenced by this? And like, if you just pause in this scene when they're getting ready to open, there's like a tomb. If you just pause it without context, without any subtitles, looks like that could just drop into an Indiana Jones movie anytime.
Well, kind of like you're saying, I kind of thought there for a minute. I was like, "Ooh, is Peggy going to be Elsa?" From Indiana Jones, Last Crusade. It's like, is somehow this going to turn and it's going to be a whole change in in plot? And hey, that's not what Peggy Carter did in the comics, but that's kind of where my head was going at the moment. It's like, how are they going to flip this? Who's going to be, are they going to make something even more dastardly play into this? I don't know, the whole Red Skull Nazi thing.
right, and then we're there, and which Indiana Jones is a Disney property too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I was thinking too. I thought it was really cool. Then all of a sudden, because we're in Norway on this opening scene, but then all of a sudden, the wall falls down and kills the guy who is warning the old guy, and it's almost like a battering ram. I think it is a battering ram that busts through the wall,
like a big front end
with this
loader
tank.
looking thing.
And then all of a sudden, this kick-ass car pulls up with a what's the thing on the hood called? I can't think of it right now. On the cars,
Hood ornament.
The hood ornament, with the hood ornament being the metal skull with the 6 tentacles coming out of it. Who, gentlemen, we know as the symbol of
Hydra.
Hydra.
To
What did
roll back
you guys?
Well, just to roll back, there's something that we didn't talk about. That's like super important for the rest of the run of the series.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Is this happened? This happened in Norway, but it happened in a very particular place in Norway. It was, I'll probably butcher the pronunciation of it, but it's Tonsberg, or what was the name of it? I just seen it. Tonsberg.
I'm sorry.
Norway, which later on as we get through them, that plays into a lot of the Thor storyline, and which this is from Odin's chamber itself, but that little town in Norway has seen a lot of action, seen a lot of stuff happen.
Oh, it has, hasn't it? I didn't even put that together. Good call.
Nice.
And then out walks the gentleman from the car, and we don't see who it is at first. We can kind of see his face when he's yelling at them to open the tomb, and it's this really imposing figure. And he walks down, and lo and behold, it is Agent Smith from The Matrix. It's Elrond from Lord of the Rings. Was it Hugo Weaving or Weaving? Weaving. Hugo Weaving. Which I thought, personally, he did a phenomenal job in this role. Like you'll find out more. I don't think that they fleshed out his character enough in this movie. That's one of my complaints. about this is he was always just kind of there. They didn't give him, they did a great job of fleshing out everyone else's storyline just about in this movie, except for Red Skull. And you would think they would have developed that a lot more with him being the, one of the most iconic Marvel villains there is.
Yeah, he could have been a great, like, multi-movie arc bad guy. I mean, he does come back later in a way, but yeah, like even like somebody like me that didn't grow up reading all the comics, but I was aware of characters. I knew who Red Skull was. He's that iconic, and I wanted more of him after watching this, and me not knowing as much as you guys know. I still wanted more of him because it's just visually a cool freaking character.
It really is.
Yeah.
They open this very, very Nordic looking chest. If you remember, like had. So, did you guys think that was a dragon, or do you think that was the world serpent? Like the eye when he pushed? I think it was kind of the world serpent.
I thought it was Asgardian serpent just because you could already see the world tree and yeah. So I thought it was
Jorgamond, the world serpent. Which what I love about Marvel is they will reference other Marvel movies heavily, or even if it's in glancing in their movies. So, and this is a throwback to Thor a little bit more too, like Kyle was saying, because we're in this town. And I just note, if you guys see me, if you're on the video and see me doing this, so we're actually recording when the sun is up right now. And of course it's hitting right where the effing blinds have little cracks. So I have targets on me and it keeps bouncing off my glasses too. So I'm trying to get out of the way.
Kind of gives you a little street cred.
Yeah.
Does it? Thanks. Well, at least something's giving me some street cred. Basically he pulls out this it's glowing blue inside the case. When he pulls it out, it's just this cube. Just was it clear or was it just like
it was like frosty?
Was it all white? I think it was frosty.
Yeah, it was ice.
Yeah,
ice. And it, like nothing was there. He's talking to him more, and basically they end up the old man who he has open it, they end up executing him. Like extreme Nazi bastards, like very leave no witnesses behind. That's exactly what it was. And then they end up shooting and killing the old man, and blood splatters everywhere, of course. And then it pans out that from the scene, and his little lapel is Hydra, except it has, I thought was extremely, extremely symbolic, the blood splattered on the skull of the Hydra skull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For Red Skull and for Hydra later, the very iconic Hydra symbol. So, I mean, what do you guys think after this opening? I mean, I kind of got chills from this.
It was probably the most ominous bad guy intro that we've seen yet. Like we get introduced to bad guys and villains in other movies leading up to this, but that one may have been, to me, like, that was the darkest one. Like, this one is going to have some dark moments in it because of that. I liked it just because of
it was the clearest cut. Like, you knew who the villain was. Iron Man, you don't know at the very beginning that
Right.
Obadiah Stone's it. Unless you know some of the source material, you don't know Loki's bad, you know?
Right.
So it was just a clear cut. Okay, this is the dude that's going to kill some people.
Right. It was awesome. It really was.
it kind of took this one more of a like a classic American action movie take two, where like you see the bad guy pretty early on and you know who the bad guy is, which is kind of appropriate for Captain America, being the most American of the Avengers.
And I think that's what led to a little bit of my disappointment, because I felt like, man, it's gonna be more than just this one movie. They just made him so bad that I feel like it was just ripped away from me. I feel like they could have really done, and who knows, they might. It's just not going to be Hugo Weaving, but who knows, they might continue to do something with the Cosmic Cube later on, and
Well, one thing that I kind of like about the MCU and I kind of dislike at the same time. Death is final in the MCU. Once you're dead, you're dead.
is it?
Is it?
So far as we know.
Is it?
The skull comes back, but he's dead. He's not flesh and blood. WandaVision, Vision's back, but he only exists within Wanda's hex field. We haven't seen Widow back yet.
50% of the universe died and came back.
Right. Different. I mean, how many of those people that died were from the alternate dimension?
That's true.
Gamora, Thanos, and all of his people.
That's true. But our Gamora is gone. So something to think about. I mean, I see what both of you are trying to say.
I don't think anybody is ever dead.
No, they're not. But so far,
it's like pro
as
wrestling,
we know,
never say never. We talked about that. Never say that person's going to retire, because it ain't happening.
Exactly. Was it last night we were talking about the Ric Flair thing, Kyle?
Yeah, Agent Woo.
Agent Woo. We called him Agent Jimmy Woo.
He kicked some ass.
Yeah. He did. Go listen to our Nerky about episode 6 and you'll get the reference about Agent Jimmy. Woo!
God, he was so. That's going to come back. I hope that stays the thing.
That's awesome.
I need to doctor up that picture still. So then we see a picture of New York, obviously New York, and I'm assuming that's the Brooklyn Bridge that they're showing. And these guys are reading newspapers, and then all of a sudden, you see all these huge guys, tall guys, muscular guys, and the guy puts his paper down, and we have our hero, Chris Evans. And I don't know about you guys, but I died like laughing when I saw him the first time, because he was probably like, 5'6" compared to these 6-foot giants and like 90 pounds at best. And so they did a great job with the CG on this, because the only problem I had with this, he still had the Chris Evans head and face, or at least the face, on a smaller body. So it just looked really weird.
So
but they did a good job making it.
Almost 10 years out now, and the special effects they still hold up.
Yeah, they do.
That's something I always worry about when I see something cool now, especially something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, if I go back and I really like this movie, and I'm going to rewatch it in 5 to 7 years, is it going to hold up, or is it going to look pretty cheesy? And so far, this still holds up.
So, he's talking to the doctor, and they ask, what your dad died of, or your dad was enlisted. Said, yeah, what'd he die of? Mustard gas. His mom was a nurse, died of TB in the ward. And then the doctor's looking through the list of all his, would it be illnesses or just itises?
His ailments and itises, and it was a long list.
It was a super, super long list. BRob, do you remember any of them?
No, not off the
I
top
remember.
of my head. I'm going to have to cheat.
Nah, I've already
cheat away.
Scarlet fever.
Yep. Asthma,
cold, high blood pressure,
like heart trouble,
Sinusitis.
And again, very important. He was in a household that had TB,
Right.
diabetes,
Fatigue,
just
wasn't that one?
everything. Yep,
Yeah.
fatigue was one. Gets colds all the time. Basically, this dude sucks.
Mhm.
Like he's that friend that you guys are planning on going out with, but gets sick every single time just before you go out.
Yeah.
Like before you guys have this big plans, he's that friend. Which is okay. You still love him, but he's just that person that gets sick all the time.
His mom never lets anybody come over because he's always sick and he's stuck in his room. He has to sit in the corner
Boy
of
in
the
the bubble.
classroom. He's Bubble Boy.
Yep. He's bubble. And then they asked, is there anything you can do? And he's like, basically, I'm doing it. And the doctor's like, yeah, nope, sorry. I'm saving your life, and gives him the rejection stamp. So next thing we know, I'll get to this part here in a sec, but you're in the theater. Chris Evans is in the theater. Steve Rogers, he's in the theater and he's watching a movie. And of course, this is during, what is this, 42-ish?
Yeah.
Would you guys say, give or take? So it's those old movies that is how they did the newsreels. No one that's listening to this will remember any of this from the time it happened, but we've all seen the movies and the TV shows where it showed, hey, Jimmy, thanks to the war effort, save 10. The Nazis are bastards. And, it's like one of those black and white, how you got the newsreels and like the fake world that was spinning.
Johnny's doing his part. He's investing in war bonds.
Yes, like that. And that's what it is. That's exactly what it was. And he's sitting there just watching it, which the way that he was sitting there makes me think that like he would go to these like every single day. Like you could tell Steve Rogers, he wanted to be in this war so bad to enlist. So I just thought, this guy goes to this every day because that's kind of his thing.
It's a very
And you hear,
high trousers, fast talking time period. So,
yeah, it really was. And this was in front of a cartoon too, which you wouldn't think you would have. At the time it was acceptable, but you wouldn't have a World War newsreel in front of a cartoon today.
No.
Like today, let's say we were going to be watching, I don't know, like Young Justice. You wouldn't think you'd be watching a COVID special in front of that, giving the COVID mortality numbers and stuff.
No.
That's kind of what this was like. And there's this guy just yelling the whole time in this movie, let's get on with it. Show the cartoon. Show the cartoon. I don't know why he's from Boston. He wasn't. This was in New York.
He could have made it
Because
over.
it makes people hate him that much more because they think he's a Red Sox fan
There we go. And that's it.
Mhm.
or a Patriots fan.
Or Patriots. I think you guys could tell what teams BRob likes now at this point.
That guy wasn't very patriotic.
And next thing you know, Steve basically talks back to this guy. Tells him to shut the hell up, basically. And the guy stands up, and the dude is giant. And if we remember, literally like 2 minutes ago, Steve is he's just a little fella.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, they're out in the back alley, and Steve's down on the ground getting punched. And he gets up, gets punched again, gets up, almost gets punched again. And I thought this is what foreshadowing. He picked up the garbage lid and held it out in front of him like a shield. So I remember watching that part in the theater and just going, man, this is it right here. This is when it's starting to feel real for me right now.
Mhm.
This is Captain America right now. Even though he is this little itty bitty guy, he's still standing up he's the little guy standing up to the big guy.
He had it where it mattered, in his heart.
In his
That's
heart.
right there.
I mean, it really just sets the tone. That's when you really start to think, man, I'd go to war with this guy.
Uh-huh.
This is a dude
Exactly.
that I would run through a wall for.
Yep.
So
Well, then he gets punched again and then gets up again. And the guy said, basically, you don't know when to give up. And I think the most iconic cap line for the MCU that ran through his run was said then, which was BRob. What was the line? You're blanking it yet.
I'm blanking it. Yeah.
I can do this all day.
He's gonna drill us.
Yeah. Do you think that's his most iconic line?
I think that's the one that people remember.
Avengers. Assemble,
Yeah,
as he's wiping blood off his face.
But all the people I've asked, the line that they remember, like you and I would think that the Avengers Assemble. I think that's his most, Captain America in general, that's his most iconic line, because that's what's said throughout the comics, the video games. You know, that's what we know Cap from. But everyone I've ever talked to that has never read the comics and has only watched the movies, this is their only thing they know. They only know him saying, the main thing they can remember him saying is, "I can do this all day." And that's
That
been
is shocking to me.
that's been consistent though.
Wow.
Like everyone I've talked to, that has been consistent. So I agree. I think Avengers Assemble is his most iconic line, but for the MCU, I think that for most people who've never read the comic, I think this is it for them.
I've had people tell me, like, when he's running laps around Sam, when he's what's
On
he
your
say, on
left.
your right, on your left.
On your left.
I've heard people say that.
Right.
I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me that I could do this all day.
See, and Kyle, what have you discussed with people?
I never really had it come up much. I would still be in that camp of Avengers Assemble and
Right.
that, but I can see where I can do this all day. I mean, that really kind of his first big stick it to him line that really shows his character. So I could see where it could be. I haven't had it come up as much.
Because he said it to Thanos. He said it to didn't he say that to the Hydra agents in Winter Soldier?
Didn't he say it to Iron Man at one point?
I think he says it to Iron Man
too. So why don't you guys tell us in the Discord chat what you think his most iconic line is in the MCU, as related to the MCU, the movies that we're talking, not comics. So, and then all of a sudden he gets rescued by this really big guy in a military uniform. And what was cool about that, we didn't know who this was at the time. We do now. But they just start talking, Did you guys have any clue who this was?
No.
Not until he said Buck.
Yep.
That's not. Yeah, no, it didn't register at the time.
Right. And then it ended up being, it's Bucky Barnes, his best friend, childhood best friend, the guy who's always bailing Steve out. Bucky Barnes, who we will know later as a huge Cap villain, but we'll get into that once we get into Phase 2.
Yep. That's where I really started liking him in that portion, because I'm coming at this as just a pure movie watcher, and I didn't like Bucky as much the first go through watching this.
I thought he was a throwaway character.
Yeah, he didn't really stick with me, and so, like I said, that's coming just straight as a movie watcher. What happens later and stuff when we talk about that, I could appreciate it being tragic for the sake of it being tragic and all that, but it wasn't until Winter Soldier then I was like, okay, I like Bucky. I like this I like this character. I don't have to necessarily like what the character is doing, that means he's doing a good job at what he's doing. But because you can really like a character for the sake of not liking them, and then you can just not like a character. And the first go around with Bucky, he didn't stick with me that much, and that could be I think that's important to look at with these movies, because he stuck with you guys because you knew him from before.
Mhm.
Wasn't a huge impact on me whenever I watched it until later, and then it started making more sense and became better down the road. And so I think that if there's anything that these movies can improve on, it would be something like that. There's a lot of nuggets and things out there for the comic fans because you have to play that. You have to do the fan service there. But if they could have, I think could have made him stick better for me. And there's a few characters throughout the entire run of all these movies that are obviously iconic and super important characters. But if you're just a straight movie watcher and you don't go back and hit the source material or whatever, then it's I'm just like, oh well, they weren't that big a deal. And then you get the nerd rage and those guys like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? That character this and this and this. You invoked that response from it. So there's I think it would be great of them to going forward with however many more phases we're going to see now. If there is a character that should be iconic, make them hit home just a little bit harder for just the straight movie watchers.
Well, I think he did because, well, for me, I mean, I knew the backstory and stuff, but just being that best friend and losing that person,
Yeah,
was such a big. I don't know. I think for me, I can't say for sure because obviously I'm not in those shoes, but I think I would have resonated with him and understood a little bit more and kind of latched on. But there are definitely characters, to your point, that I think they don't do a good enough job of making us buy into them.
Oh yeah, his loss was tragic. Like I mean, I could feel for Steve. I could feel for Cap.
It hit you in the feels.
But everything outside of that just
he wasn't fleshed out well.
Didn't hit. Yeah, well, yeah, just like what we're talking about with Schmidt with Red Skull earlier. I would have loved some more. I would love some more Bucky flesh if we could.
I'm not even gonna. That's
I'm trying to set you up.
such an easy joke. I'm not even gonna go on that one because that's too easy. That was a good one though. I agree. I
threw it out there for you. I left you dangling.
Literally, he left the Bucky flesh dangling.
Yep. 1 second, I'll be right back with you guys.
Okay. He just found a apparently picture of the Bucky flesh. So Kyle will be back in 30 seconds. So we'll go on because we'll go here, but we go to the Bucky takes Cap, or at the time Steve Rogers, to this big it's like the like a World's Fair almost, like it's the Fair of Tomorrow. Do you remember seeing who there was like this really futuristic, like fly looking tube, like futuristic with like all these like diodes on top and capacitors? And do you remember who was inside that?
Human Torch, right?
Human Torch. Was that golden or silver? That was Silver Age Human Torch, wasn't it?
Yeah, silver.
Silver Age. So it doesn't say he was the Human Torch, but Marvel threw that in there for us fanboys. This isn't the Human Torch that we know. That's Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four. This was an android that was built to fight the Nazis and had flame powers, which I just thought it was a really, really cool little Easter egg that they threw in there.
Right.
Because I remember doing that. Go, that's Human Torch.
Sorry, I had to step away for just a second there, but
fine.
Some good non-podcast related news. I've got water. So.
Yay!
Hey, I step away and everything's running. I just hope it's not running into the house.
Wait. Did you go drip all your pipes? If not, go do that real quick.
Yeah,
Okay,
I got several of them just running right now, and I'm going to let them run for a bit.
Okay.
So.
Okay, good. And to break off, I am not looking forward to my water, gas, and electric bill next month. I'm glad that they deferred the student loans for a little bit because I'm going to need that extra, $600 just to pay for all those.
I just hole up in my little man cave here and turn the heater down the rest of the house to about 65 and plug in my electric heater. Let the water run. Yeah, I don't leave this room.
So, BRob, I just noticed you're wearing your Ross Group hoodie there, or jacket. So as I understand it, there are several people from the Ross group that are listening to our podcast. So we really, really appreciate you all. We
Mhm.
really do. If you guys want to sponsor us, we wouldn't say no either. Kyle will beg.
I will. I'm really good at it.
He's a beggar.
I am.
I'm still waiting for you guys to beat up Tinker in the Thunderdome, and then that's where I'll see where my love and my monies go.
You know what? That's what we got to do. Tell Tinker, suit up, buddy.
Suit up. Actually, I would
Avengers
love
assemble.
to have him on. Yeah. But seriously, you guys, thank you.
Mhm.
I understand there's several of you who listen to our podcast, so thank you very much. We appreciate you. BRob, like if you want to throw out a couple first names, that they can hear themselves on the internet.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fine
yeah.
too.
Leslie, Dylan, Aaron. I think those are 3 for sure. I know I told about, but there's a lot of cool nerds that we talk about a lot of this stuff at work, around the water cooler, in the lunchroom, and everything. So I know that they enjoy all things, especially the Marvel universe. So
Well, seriously, you guys, thank you.
I like how you said around the water cooler and lunchroom. That's like not while we're on the clock. We're totally on break, and not
Yeah, on break,
while-
not on the clock.
We're not
Get
on.
back to work.
Mm-hmm. Time theft is real, Bob. So
right.
So, we look and Bucky's got 2 girls with him. Bucky's a pimp. And I don't know if you guys caught what division he got assigned to either. Do you remember what division he got assigned to?
107th or
107th, the one that Steve wanted to get in because that's what his dad was in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just remember seeing this. I actually caught this on my second run through in preparing for this. Who one of the girl who with the brown hair, I had to call my wife and I go, look who that is. Do you know who that girl most famously played within the past, I'd say 5-6 years was?
That was with Bucky.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking. My damn subtitles take up half my screen. I got this minimized. Hang on.
No, because I can only think of one girl I recognized throughout that wasn't a main character.
So this was Jenna Coleman who played Clara, the Forever Girl. I believe it's Forever Girl in Doctor Who. She was a companion to Peter Capaldi, and we're big Doctor Who fans, but she was very famously known as a Doctor Who companion. And she was
And I am famously not a fan of that. So
that's
that's why
why
I
you
have no
wouldn't
idea
know.
who that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need
But
to
for
start watching those.
Yeah, but for those of you who are Doctor Who fans, which Doctor Who is so good, just so well written. There's a reason it's been around for 50 plus years.
Right.
That's what she's known for. And I just remember calling my wife. She goes, "Oh, it's Clara." So it was just kind of a cool little nerd Easter egg for us.
That's a show I've always said I need to watch, and I just never have. So I need to. It's on my list. I have it.
Oh, buckle
So,
up,
yeah.
because you'll go through all these companions, and it's an investment. It's definitely a time investment, but it is so much fun to watch. And then everyone's got their favorite doctors, and I'd be interested to hear what you think as a new fan once you start watching it, because we argue about who our favorite doctor is all the time. So they're at this World's Fair, and it's very futuristic. And Steve's back behind all the rest of them. You can tell Steve's not popular with the ladies. So this is just setting up more of, I think, Steve's backstory.
Yeah.
Is that he's just this little skinny nerd. And then you have these showgirls on stage, and then lo and behold, who pops out with this really futurist or this really nice car?
Howard
Stark.
Yep, Howard Stark. I thought you said
Dominic
Howard Stern.
Cooper.
I'm like, it's not Howard Stern. He was in this movie.
That would be amazing.
Was Beetlejuice here too? But yeah, it's Howard Stark. Who played Howard Stark? That was
Dominic Cooper.
Dominic Cooper.
He's got
Which
such a
he did.
Raul Julia cool look to him.
He does. He
Yeah.
does. I love him. I thought he was a great Stark too.
And he likes fondue.
And he does like fondue. Because Fondue for two. And he shows off his latest invention. They take the wheels off the car and the car starts floating. And to me, the only thing I thought of at this point was those are repulsors. Those are early versions of like the repulsor technology that Tony created. Just because it was floating. I mean, what did you guys think of this? Or did you just think it was just, hey, it's a floating car?
I thought about Fantastic Four. That was like the first thing that came to my mind was their car.
Oh yeah, what is it? The Fantastic Mobile or whatever? Fantastic
Something
car.
like that. I just remember that it being, a flying car. So, but yeah, no, and then the repulsors. Yeah, I think that was the second thing. But the automatic thing, when I saw it, was like, oh,
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Then we move on, and Steve ends up running away from the double date and going to, like, it's one of those mirrors that you're the soldier. Well, Steve couldn't even get up to that height to look into the mirror. At this point, you feel kind of sad for him. Like, did you guys think he was like, they were setting him up to be like this lovable loser? Or what did you guys think at this point? Because I just felt sad for him at this point.
I mean,
I think I became more endeared to him because you see what he's willing to do, not for glory for himself, but for the success of the USA, for America.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean,
I think without all this buildup and without his backstory like this and seeing where his desire to fight for his country and his patriotism and all that's ingrained in Captain America, if he'd just been plopped in, later on without all the buildup and seeing him before this, I think he could have came off a little cheesy. But but having this backstory and seeing like it's genuine, like it's there, he has solid, honest, grounded, great reasons for being the way that he is, and you have to have that, or older Cap, or Cap later on just doesn't sell as well.
He ends up being like Superman.
Yeah,
just the goody two shoes.
Boy Scout.
Early Superman, I guess. Yeah, the Boy Scout, the big blue Boy Scout. But yeah, I think you're right. I think everything that they've done just created this character and made us just love him before he was ever Captain America, when he was just Steve Rogers.
I mean, I had a conversation with my 5-year-old the other day. I can't remember if I brought it up on the show or not, but we were watching the X-Men cartoon from the mid '90s. They're all yellow and everything, and
the best one ever.
Yeah. And so me and him are going through that and watching, and I ask him, which one is his favorite X-Men. He's like, I like the guy with the laser eyes. I'm like, Cyclops? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you like Cyclops? That's like saying Captain America is your favorite Avenger. And he's like, Captain America is my favorite Avenger. I'm like, no, we like Iron Man in this house, little dude. And so, yeah, I had a great nerd debate with a 5-year-old over Cyclops versus Wolverine versus Captain America versus Iron Man for a while. Yep,
I've had those. Star Wars ones are the best. Why Grogu's such a stupid name? That's my favorite argument lately. Tinker refuses to call him Grogu. Baby Yoda.
I don't advocate violence against children, but when one of my kids told me they really like Jar Jar,
why is that?
Shit about got serious.
You want to hit on?
Oh, I was like, you get out of I ran him out of the living room. Like, we're not even going to watch this now. Like, I was willing to watch the movie, but go to your room and think about what you said.
You will very rarely hear us get super political on this podcast, but there are some things I think we all agree on that could be considered political, and I think our hate of Jar Jar is one of them.
Yeah.
So, and when I say we're going to get political too, we're going to do a show, and I'm telling you guys, this is upcoming. Just that way, and we'll title it so you know what the show is. BRob's going to be part of it. Our friend Justin's going to be part of it, and my friend Chris Lee. It's going to be about cancel culture And this kind of just leads into that. And I'm just forewarning you guys, we're going to go at it from both angles, both sides of it. So, and we're not going to say we're for or against it one way or another. We're going to have people debating both sides. But that's coming up because that's a very real thing. And especially as it relates to nerd culture. So we will be going into that kind of as a little side note. And if you don't want to hear it, skip that episode. Totally.
Yeah. But don't skip any of the others. Well, watch one twice.
Skip everything else
to make up for that.
Everything else we say is important.
Yeah.
Basically, why I thought this. Getting back to the movie now. Why I think this part was important with Steve is because Bucky's like, "Are you seriously doing that? You have that friend that's telling you, are you gonna keep doing this? You failed. Why you keep doing this?" And it's very, very Captain America. I think the speech is, you got guys laying their lives down every day for this. Why wouldn't I? That's, and then you see this guy come up and start eavesdropping, which you don't know. I'm sure there was creepers back in the 40s, and that's kind of what I thought he could have been at this point.
Yeah.
Because he was just listening in. And I don't know if he thought Steve was like, an easy target or whatever, but he was just listening in, and it was Stanley Tucci.
Great name.
Stanley Tucci's character. Yes, whose character in this movie is. You guys remember?
He is
Abraham. I can't remember his name.
It's Erskine.
Erskine. Now I don't know if I'm getting things crossed up from like my research and stuff, or if it was actually said in the movies, because he had an alias he went by as well, right?
Yes, but I can't remember what it was. Do you remember?
No, we talked about it last episode.
Because the alias came up in something, but it wasn't him. Or an alternate
What was it? Okay, someone to the Googles.
To the Googles, and it came up as like a little Easter egg or some foreshadowing or something. And it may have been in.
It's in Hulk, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was Hulk. Actually, let me go to the show notes. Okay, Kyle, go on from here. I'm going to look at the show notes real quick.
Okay. And so, Erskine, he kind of pulls him to the side. Well, he doesn't pull him to the side yet. He goes in to be like examined again. But you can tell like the creeper vibe is totally there. Like he's just kind of lurking around, and I like that it almost gives him a false nefarious feel. Like he's not, but you feel there's something with him. And then you have Steve waiting in the examination room, and I like this where he looks behind him. There's a sign that says it's illegal to falsify your enlistment form, which is what he had done a few minutes earlier when he was talking to Bucky, and Bucky told him no, it's illegal. And you can see like this moral quandary going through his head at the time, because he's just such a good guy, and like you can tell like it's killing him to he's compromising his morals to carry on with his morals. He believes in his country and going to fight, and he's having to compromise himself to be able to do that. So I like just the look on his face, and you can see him kind of think about it, where he just moves away from him and starts to get ready to be examined again and wait and all that, and then then creepy doc comes back in.
So, and it was Hulk. It was Joseph Reinstein is the alias of Abraham Erskine. Erskine.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, we're not very good with names.
Pronunciation is not in our best.
Words are hard.
Words are hard.
All we know is Chris likes to fancy up all the last names. Like I just can't believe why you didn't try and fancy up Tucci.
You know what? I didn't want to give you the pleasure this time, sir.
Okay.
You don't get the Tucci pleasure.
I actually did think about it.
It's not an episode until you do it, so it's gonna have to happen sometime.
Something's gonna happen.
Peggy
So
Cartier.
Cartier. Cartier B. Love her music.
Hmm.
But
Okay. Ant-Man and
basically,
Wasp? Okay.
Ant-Man and Wop. Is that what you were gonna say?
That's where I was going with it, but like I can't. I tried to stop myself, and it was already going.
It was already there. Ant-Man and Wop. Ant-Man and the Wop. That would be the best Marvel movie ever.
I'd go watch that. You think me pausing on Agnes's butt in WandaVision? You give me some tickets.
Oh, that was awesome.
My ass is going to the IMAX.
Thank you. Basically, long story short, he comes in, he talks to Steve why he wants to kill Nazis, and Steve tells him, I don't want to kill Nazis, I don't want to kill anyone, but you want to stop the bad guys. He passes him, lets him go through. So Steve goes through, and then the next scene, we're in this mountain fortress. Obviously we know it's the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that this was super Easter egg fan service, because we see this big, almost like an electronic screen, but it was like a big magnifying glass, and it had this guy's face in there with glasses. And who we come to find out is, I want to say, why do I want to call him Roranor Zola? That's One Piece.
Armin Zola.
Armin Zola.
Toby Jones.
Toby Jones, as we know from the comics, Zola is inside a giant. Is it an android or a robot? His face, you know what I'm talking? The classic 80s, 90s Zola. I think it's like an
I thought
android.
it was just a big computer.
Is it?
I can't.
Well,
I know
if it
later
is the
on
big
it's a computer, but
and that does come later.
Right, but like the classic one I'm remembering is, okay, yeah, just do a quick search for him, and you'll see like it's the big face inside like the robot body. That's how I remember him from the classic comics.
yeah, you're right. I really don't remember that.
But it's Toby Jones, who will forever be Dobie the house elf for me. He's just
Toby, the house elf.
Yeah. Well, he was the voice.
Your mispronunciation of names.
Thank you. I was waiting for your face.
I knew it wasn't right, but you guys have made me doubt so much already that I doubted. Like, wait a minute, is he right? He's taking the whole churching up the pronunciation thing the wrong direction. He went the wrong way with that one.
Oh, I just like Ant-Man and the Wop. Anyways, we know that he is he's one of the Nazi scientists. And they start basically just chit-chatting, and Red Skull pulls out the Tesseract, and it's glowing. It is glowing bright blue, which means they've learned how to tap into it. And they start talking about, was it at this point where before he put it in the machine that they were talking about infinite power? Or was this after they did the experiment?
I thought this was as he was explaining to the three guys that come in, telling him he's crazy and all that stuff. The other Nazis, when he's talking about infinite power. I might be wrong. Before he zaps them.
But he basically told him, though, Zola, he told him, this thing will power your experiments. You were never able to basically power them before. We didn't have the power to do it, but here you go. This will do it. And they get it up, and the room starts glowing, and you see it going to all these machines, and it was apparently successful. And he was able to collect it, and I wouldn't even say it's a fraction of the power from the Tesseract, because we know the Tesseract's infinite. And just it siphoned off some of the power, I guess you could say.
Channel it.
It channels it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So huge foreshadowing in that part. Huge foreshadowing. Next thing you know, we're at the army base, and again, the big soldiers, and then little bitty Steve. And this is the first time we are introduced to Peggy Carter. And I love Peggy Carter. Like, I like the TV show too. I thought she was a great character. I thought she played her well. Kind of tough as nails. You know, the soldier was like talking to her like she was abroad.
Yeah.
And did she punch him, or what did she do to him? She punched him, didn't you? Yeah, she punched him.
Yeah.
She punched him. He's down on the ground, and then in comes the general.
Here, go put these in your room. No thanks. I don't know why.
As you can tell by the sweet little voice, BRob, one of BRob's children, has entered the battle.
Mm-hmm. Player 3 has entered the battle.
And which is okay. Like, I love that age. I love those little voices at that age, man.
I got to
They're
keep
the
mine
sweetest
trained.
thing.
Like if I'm streaming or anything, little one, the oldest one likes to try to scare me. The little one, he's just like in his underwear all the time. That's all he wants to wear is underwear. Like, dude, you cannot come back here. I got a camera on. You got to put on pants or a shirt, one or the other. At least have some, like, cover more than just, you know. And he's like, he does. He just like wants to like peek in, and so he's learning now. My daughter used to kind of keep her distance when I was streaming. She would like kind of peek and like wave at me and try to get my attention. Like, hey, can you help me I need a. But now she'll like sneak over here and throw shit at me and trying to scare. Like, she knows I play a lot of horror games, and she tries to scare me while I'm streaming, but while she's, you know, like off camera and stuff. I don't know.
I'm just lucky so far. Both mine leave me alone when I'm in here. So I'm lucky right now.
Mm-hmm.
But damn it, look, he's back to non-blinking again.
He found that beer.
Damn it.
Hold on, is that a Lucky Charm shirt?
Actually, I think it is.
Hearts,
I want that shirt.
Hearts, stars, clovers, horseshoe, and a blue moon. Yep, that's a Lucky Stars.
Or is that a Strawberry Schmeggles shirt?
Schmeagle.
Schmiggles.
Who's better than Strawberry Schmeckle? Okay, so he's got the beads, but he's never drinking that damn beer.
What are you doing?
Hey,
He just likes to hold it. It's to make him look pretty.
that's like my favorite beer too. And I'm sitting here just looking at it, and I can't go get any right now.
As we get back to this, the general comes up. I think he's a general. It's Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going through basic training, and, you know, Steve is just, everyone's outpacing him, outdoing him, and like they literally pick on him, and they're talking about, you know, one of you will be the next breed of super soldier.
Yeah.
And like the guy in front of him is a dick to him. Like, while he's going under the barbed wire, kicks the thing so the barbed wire falls on him. You know, they're going through all this stuff. They're doing this run, and Tommy Lee's just looking and just shaking his head every time he sees Steve.
I wish
And then
could,
they get to.
I wish we could have had more Tommy Lee Jones in there. I freaking love
I do
Tommy Lee
too.
Jones.
He was great in this role. He
Yeah.
really was.
I wish they could
Um,
have found a line like this. This is a great role for him. I think they could have put. I would have liked to have maybe somebody else in that role and him having a long running role throughout the universe. if I could have been
Right.
given the option. But he's perfect for this.
He was actually perfect for this.
Yeah.
And then they told them, they come up to this flagpole and they said, in like however long it was, no one's ever gotten this flag. And they're all trying to climb the pole. Obviously it's greased.
I'll just pause it right now.
Yeah.
And I think that they said that
I can't get it to say it.
they said that
I'll just pause it. That's all.
if you get the flag, you get to ride back to base, because they were out on a run and Steve was way behind them. If you get the flag, you get to ride in the Jeep back to the base, and no one's ever done it. And they're all trying to climb the greased up pole. Insert joke there. But no one does it. They tell him to fall back in, and Steve's just looking at it. And do you remember what happens at this part, Kyle?
Yeah, he analyzes it, and this is just a great thing for Steve's character of, he's rough and he's tough later as Cap, but he's also smart. And this is his work smarter, not harder moment, because he notices that the flag is on a pivot system with a pin holding it. I think it was a pin. And so he pulls the pin, lets the flag drop, or lets the pole down and grabs the flag.
Which shows that, to me, that's classic Captain America, because Captain, so he's the soldier. He's the ultimate soldier. He's the ultimate super soldier. But besides being like physically, the physical perfect specimen, he's also smart.
Yeah.
Cap is a thinker. He can calculate, and that's always been, to me, what kind of stood out about Cap versus other superheroes. Is that he's super strong, but he's also smart. He can calculate what happens.
And he was humble about the reaction. He wasn't braggadocious about it all. He wasn't any of that. He grabbed the flag, handed it over, walked, sit in the back of the Jeep, and looked at Peggy and carried on like there was nothing. Like, it was a badass moment. Like, if me or you would have done that, I'd be like, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. But he's just like, all right,
We would have.
I got the flag.
We would have stone cold Steve Austin the other guys and just done the flip off to him.
Flip off, crack a beer, spray it on the wrist of the platoon.
Give him the Ric Flair, done the walk and the woo, Jimmy, woo. Well, BRob, damn it, at least blink when we talk about Ric Flair. I mean, look at that.
Good. Cold, dead stare.
Dead eyes.
His dead eyes and his Lucky Charms shirt. And his beard.
I do want that shirt.
I do. I kind of want one too.
Okay. So then next thing you know, they're doing push-ups and Steve is not doing what we would call a push-up. He's
he's doing a push.
Doing a weird worm. He's doing a push, doing like the 80s worm. Basically,
he's got the push part down and he's still working on the up.
And then you see Tommy Lee's character talking to the doctor, saying, why did you pick this guy? Why did you bring this 90-pound asthmatic onto my base? There are other choices, and the doctor basically tells him he's the only choice.
Yeah, he's
Tommy Lee's just
qualities beyond physical, which is what he showed. He showed one of those qualities leading up to this.
And Tommy Lee's, a soldier. He's only thinking about the physical. He's saying, you stick a needle through him, it's going to go right through it. And then he's like, what about this guy? And, he's perfect. He's the perfect soldier. And the doctor said he's a bully. Basically the reason I'm picking Steve is he's got all these qualities. Shirt, so. This guy's a bully. This is not what I'm looking for in this program.
Yeah, I was somebody that's not going to abuse the power that's going to be given to him.
I heard quite a bit.
And it comes back to the old, with great power comes great responsibility. I know that's from a different universe, but
still counts.
It's true. Yeah, it still counts. It's true. So, and talking about, again, Tommy Lee's like, niceness doesn't win wars. He grabs a grenade from this
This is
from
such
this
a
pack
cool.
and said,
He does it so
I
cool
love this
too.
scene. And then he pulls the pin and throws it and yells grenade. And everyone ducks for cover except for Steve. The 90-pound weakling jumped on the grenade and it's like, get away, get away. And Peggy's standing right over him. She went for the grenade. If you notice, they were the only two that went for the grenade.
Yeah.
Like, Peggy's so hot. I love Peggy.
After he jumped on it, did he throw it away? No, he still. What did he throw away?
No,
though?
he was just like nothing. He was just laying on it.
No, well, he jumped on it and then he did something with his arm. It looked like he threw the grenade away, but it's still there when he gets up. I'm trying to figure out what he doing with his little arm flip there. Or he was telling people. Maybe he was just telling them to get back. Get back.
It was just kind of get back. It was the get back. Get back. That's all it was.
So it makes
The very exaggerated motion.
good man
Yeah.
great. It makes
Look, he blinked.
bad man evil.
Yeah, as little as Steve was, do you think he would have been able to contain the?
Oh, that would have ripped through him. But
Well,
that,
yeah,
that
ripped
wasn't
through
the
him. I don't know if would he have been able to contain it enough to protect everybody else.
No, it
Yeah.
would have gone to everyone else, like with this being 90 pounds. But the
Damn
whole
it,
point
Steve.
of that, I think,
Yeah.
the whole point of that scene was to show his, selflessness. He thinks of others. He doesn't ever think of himself. And look, Kyle, he's blinking.
Oh my God! Whoop! He fell. No, he's back.
He blinked. He blinked. We saw it.
Mhm.
And he changed out of his Lucky Charm shirt.
He did.
So we were, I don't know if you heard or not, but we both go, well,
Oh,
want
you
that
heard
shirt.
everything? Oops.
Good.
We were
Okay,
saying it to your
we want
face. You
that
just weren't
shirt.
blinking.
Yeah, we
We're saying it right to your face.
next thing you know, the doctor has a smirk. And Tommy Lee's just like, whatever. They're sitting down, and the doctor's telling Steve about the whole reason why he's doing this. And he asked the doctor, where are you from? And he's like, no, he asked the doctor where he's from before, and he's like somewhere in New York by way of Germany.
Mhm.
And he explained all about Schmidt during this next scene where they're in the barracks. While they have I don't know what the drink was. I don't know if it was whiskey or whatnot. Did they ever say? I don't think they did.
I'm watching right now. I'm going to try to catch the label while you're explaining the Schmidt out of things.
So explaining the Schmidt out of that's good. So during this part, BRob, do you want to explain what he was explaining about
Right.
Schmidt on this part? Because I know you like this part. And Schmidt was already evil to begin with, and it just made him more evil. And he experimented on himself. And I guess Schmidt would be considered the first super soldier.
Technically.
So technically, we all think it's Cap, but it was technically the Red Skull.
Mhm.
And then, Steve's basically asking why me, and he said a weak man knows the value of strength. And he asked why me, and he said, you have compassion. That's what I'm looking for.
This is someone that's known power their entire life, doesn't know how to react with the loss of power, versus somebody that has never had it before and hopefully would wield it wisely.
And right. And that you'll stay who you are. And then of course, being Marvel, they threw in this little joke where they were going to toast and have a drink, and then he's like, oh, you can't drink, you have an operation tomorrow. And he's like, well, why are you drinking? He's like, I don't have an operation tomorrow. So just being Marvel, that was great. The next scene we have coming out was just, I think, we knew what was coming because all we saw was Schmidt's
There's
shadow,
a man out of time.
but we never actually saw the full thing. He's getting painted, but you just see like the outline of his massive body and like the outline of his face, you know, covered in shadows. And I think at this point we all knew that he had the Red Skull mask on at this point.
And something about the weather. 'Cause
You can see
Peggy
it
was like,
briefly,
but I
like
know, but
a
I always
split
carry an
second, you
umbrella.
catch it as he turns
But,
the
I
lights
mean-
off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't you?
Mhm.
Next thing we know, they're driving, you know, and he's talking with Peggy. And as they're driving, Steve's pointing out I love this part, every single spot he got beat up at. And I just remember chuckling at that part because that's when Peggy gives him the line, you know, do you have a problem with running away?
Yeah.
And, you know, and he's trying to fumble his way through it and calls her beautiful dame. And he's just trying to literally
Peggy
fumble
starts
through
it
talking
later.
to her. And she's like, you don't know how to talk to women, do you? And he's like, this is the longest conversation I've ever had with a woman.
He's trying so hard.
He is. He's trying so hard. And I think for a lot of the nerds out there, that hit them in the feels right
Mhm.
there.
He's got a lot of spunk,
Like
that
that-
one.
Yep. And he always said,
Oh, yeah,
and I think this is
what you said
I think this
is
is a
right.
classic
I
line
think
from the
it
movie too.
led
Is
to, I think she learned a
when
lot of
asked,
lessons.
you know, if you've ever been dancing, it's
This
like,
was the early framework.
no, I'm just waiting for the right
for what it
partner.
was going to be.
And that comes back throughout the phases,
Mhm.
with Cap at least. They
That
get
just-
to the next place. Mhm.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that just hits back in, just him having one of the saddest storylines
Yeah.
in the whole thing that just kind of really hit. I mean, he gets some redemption at the end for his whole thing, but it's just his whole storyline is heartbreaking when you really.
Yeah. Literally.
Well
That's a
said.
great way to put it. You know, then they go into the shop and it's the classic, you know, they talk to the shop old lady and it's like the cuckoo flies at midnight, but only when the camel
Right.
rises in the east. I forget what the line was that they said, but it was one of those to gain entrance into the secret lab.
She always carries
Yeah,
an umbrella.
That's right. They get led to this back area with just tons of military and, you know, medical personnel back there. So you can tell this is top secret. And to me, this had the very, very like early Shield inklings, vibes I got from it the first time I watched it.
That's something I was.
So
And I don't remember exactly, so you guys can refresh me. Was this the precursor, the early incarnation of Shield? Is this what developed into it later? Don't remember. Peggy starts
Peggy
it later. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, Peggy starts it later. She's the founder of Shield. But I see what you're saying. Is this what got her to start Shield?
Yeah.
I think it had a part in it. I don't think it was directly related to Shield, though.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think, BRob? Do you think it was? Right. So, and then we see Mr. Stark in there again, Howard Stark in there because they're talking to the
shut it
senator
down,
and
shut
they
it
have
down.
to take what they say half of the power of Brooklyn or New York or whatever just to make this work. 3 grids worth of power. So he's there. So we come to find out that Tony and Steve their destinies are intertwined from the get-go. It's always been a Cap, at least in the movies, it's always been a Cap Iron Man kind of thing, like a dynamic between them. And this kind of further cements it. For me, it did at least. They get the serum and, you know, they put Steve down there and I believe, did they tell him? I think they told him this is going to hurt. And they're talking and then there was a, the senator there, and then someone from like the Secretary of Interior or something.
Let's see who else is there.
Then you know what I'm talking about? The guy that was kind of in the background, who plays a big part after this all happens.
Let's see if they say what his title is. I don't remember exactly. So much stuff.
It was something he might have been from the Department of Interior or something.
Yeah.
They give Steve the shot, and he's like, "That wasn't bad," and they're like, "That was the penicillin." And then all of a sudden, they inject these, 6 vials into him at once of this blue liquid, which we know is the super soldier serum.
Hmm.
And then I just thought it was really cool. The big, like,
I love how you keep saying all these guys are massive. They literally
what
may
was
be
the
5'10", and you would think the person
girl robot and Wally?
Eva.
Eve.
Eve.
It looked like
so
Eva
many
to me.
times in this episode.
Eve.
It's cracking me up.
When they put him into it, and then they had started up, and he was it just seemed like the whole thing was painful at this point.
Well, you and Dobie can go get your little
Because
club
we hear right, and then Steve's like, "No, keep it going," because he was this was like a this wasn't just like I got a paper cut in the webbing of my fingers, or I'm opening my kid's toy and that stupid plastic is so sharp. Yeah,
I felt that statement just now. Paper
Yeah,
cut,
I
I was
think we
okay
all
with.
have.
You talk about that damn plastic
that
wrapping.
the plastic
I've got
that
scars.
we
man.
all cut our hands on. Yes. But then Steve, he's in there. He's like, I can do this. I can do this. And so Stark he cranks it up to 11.
11.
He cranks it up to 11. You get bonus points if you know what that's from.
Do you think they tapped right into his spine with the needles, or spine
I mean,
with the
this
tap?
is Spinal Tap. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one.
His
was
bottom
really good,
does
by the
get
way.
bigger. So, anybody? Okay.
Yes. So they open the container, and then all of a sudden, there's Chris Evans that we're used to right now. Not the Chris Evans from the movie with ScarJo where they're cheating to get the college test, but like very, very well built, massive Steve Rogers. And before he was like, well, yeah, I'm like tiny. Well,
Listen, BRob.
comparatively speaking,
We're
for
not
us
all
that are
vertically
under 6
blessed.
feet,
Yeah.
yes. For those of us under 6 feet, you people are massive. And I will say, yes, you people of the giant race.
You damn tallies.
Me and Dobie are BFFs. But I think, what did they say? Do you remember how much? I remember reading an interview for this at the time, and they said Chris Evans had to work out like 10 hours a day for like months to get this physique that he had.
To get there that fast.
Yeah.
He's working
And
a lot.
It's nuts. And he went from being, what was he, like 5'6", 90 pounds to, what is it, 6'2" or 6'4", and 240 pounds, 6'2", and 240 pounds. Massive. Thank you, sir. Again, for
I've
those
been
of us
240
under
pounds
the 6
before,
foot.
and I didn't look anything like that.
No, we just look like slimes.
Mm-hmm.
Or Bacchus, the Greek god of wine.
More wine.
More. So they go out, and that guy who we're talking about, who we were trying to figure out what he was part of, Department of Interior or whatever. he leaves this little, I'm assuming it's like a cigarette case, like one of those old cigarette cases like they had in the 40s and 50s, the little metal ones that they pulled out the cigarettes from, left it in a seat. And they're like, oh, this is super impressive, you know. And then the doctor notices this guy and he pulls out this lighter and he flicks it and it explodes where he left that case. He grabs the last vial of super serum, shoots the doctor, and runs. And he's just, you know, killing everyone he can get his hands on, basically. And what I thought was, again, another defining moment for Peggy. If you notice, she was the only one who pulled her gun out trying to stop this guy. All the military guys in there were scrambling. She kept a cool head and she tried to shoot at him. She's the only one who shot at him at this point.
Been in? You totally wouldn't recognize him.
Catching up at
He
this
was
point,
Thorin.
Yeah.
In The Hobbit.
And this is when it starts getting into high gear. You see everyone who was outside was, you know, obviously agents. And he's going through, he's just killing people. And I thought this was a badass moment too when
he's
the shot made the car explode and Peggy just slowly took aim and shot and killed the driver. And the distance was far away too.
A while back
with a little handgun.
Was like just looking at
poor Granny with
random
a submachine gun gets gunned down.
Man, he was in The Hobbit. And
that was Kyle's favorite character in the movie.
I thought you said that was my favorite part when he shot the Granny. I'm like, why? That was not my favorite part when the elderly lady that was for some reason the guard of this multi-million-dollar government facility was gunned down. She's the gatekeeper. That's who I want protecting.
Kyle was just mad because that grandma handed out the little strawberry candies and the wrappers that look like strawberries and the toffees
and some Werthers.
Some Werthers.
I don't have to IMDb too much. Like sometimes I'll have to. Like I'll know they were in something, and then I'll have to like look and see what their name was on Wikipedia.
Ooh, that's a good idea for episodes. For
and then I can
Candy
play some
in episode 2.
Like Derek Luke was in this movie, Neil McDonough,
Candy of Yore. But Steve is just chasing down this guy, just running at full speed, and
it's like for the most part, he's
catching up.
I've seen so many movies.
Yeah, it is, and my wife pointed this. That I never noticed this before. She goes, "His pants," and I looked at it. I go, "Oh, they're like capris." At this point, I don't think I ever noticed that.
He's like an old Gap commercial.
You almost old Gap
capris are in.
And you expect Vertigo by U2 to play.
He gives a little
what's happening.
Does he say Hail Hydra? Or does he say the little quote about cutting off one of the arms and 2 more will grow back? But yeah, he probably
Of course.
Hail Hydra.
Of course
you're probably
I don't.
Right.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, totally do not. I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together on that because he's not like.
I have a stalker like a memory.
4'10" and have
he slimmed out.
Massive beard.
I haven't seen in 20 years. It's even worse.
Yeah, he's not one of our people. Thank you, you tall bastard, you giant folk. I just looked at it.
Right.
So if you're like us, you will randomly IMDb someone, and I can almost guarantee you this is what happened with BRob. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You started going through the cast of this and clicking on it to see what else have they been in, like you were saying, and then you go, oh, and you can't stop there because you start getting down the IMDb rabbit hole, and next thing you know, it's like 20 minutes later, and you just found out like who played Uncle Jesse's father's twin brother of the 3rd episode of Full House. Right. 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 No. Well, now that you mention it, the way he looked just intense, you can see that now.
Yeah.
Now that you pointed it out. Long story short, he catches him, and all of a sudden you see him pop out this tooth with his tongue, and I believe he yelled "Hail Hydra," and I want to say he said, "It cut off one head. Two more shall take its place."
He's the first of many. This is after he, after he chased him in the bat sub looking thing.
In the bat sub. And see, BRob's back to what BRob's saying. BRob's really good with names and faces like that. He can recall all those. Right. You can do that. See, I can tell you like, oh yeah, they were in this, and this. This is the character they played, but I couldn't tell you their name or other stuff they've been in sometimes.
I'll catch it off of voices. That's what really gets me. Is like I've heard this voice.
So you're a voice person.
Yeah, like I've heard this voice, and that makes it even harder because they don't have a face to go with it. But once I hear a voice, especially in it's not always just animated stuff. Anything that's needing a voiceover work, I was like, man, I know that voice. And there's a documentary about that on Netflix too, or used to be on there. It's called like I Know That Voice, and it goes to the whole voiceover community, voice acting community, and
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It has I forgot it. Joe DiMaggio,
Bender.
Bender. Is it John DiMaggio?
Hey Tinker.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But he's in it a lot, and there's several in there. The guy that does the voice of SpongeBob and all those. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, that's a really, really cool one to watch.
Good one to go.
Yep.
So next thing we know, we're inside the Hydra laboratories because you find out that Hydra is the what did they say? The weapons division, weapons and occult division of, or they were the scientific division, weren't they, of the Nazi?
Yeah. Schmidt was just obsessed with the occult. Different one.
Right, and but they were the science division.
Yeah.
And they're leading through other, you can tell, high-ranking SS officers, and they're basically saying, the Fuhrer wants results, and you guys aren't delivering anything.
Mm.
And so he takes them to the lab and shows them the arsenal that they're developing, Zola's arsenal. And he unveils this weapon that is very, very futuristic. And to me, going back and watching the movie after watching the Avengers, it looks like one of the Chitauri weapons to me. That's kind of what it looked like to me. Best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And then he's got all these places on the map that are just marked. And basically, it's him turning against the German army at this point.
Yeah. He was trying
Hydra
to
becoming
more
its own
to
individual
put more money into the
organization at this point, autonomous from the Germans. And he basically fires up the weapon, and it shoots the German officers, and they get just annihilated. So, and this is, we knew that Schmidt was evil, but now I think we're really seeing it come to fruition in this part. So, and then, the guys pull up the devil hand and yell, "Hail Hydra." Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just saying, like, yeah, he just does a really good job of being like expressing his emotion without expressing any facial movement at all. Like he's just this dead stare after he wipes those officers out, and it's one of those really good. Marvel's got a lot of good stares throughout all the movies and WandaVision. Like everybody has a really good dead stare to him, and that was just almost creepy. And just looking totally emotionless, like he just freaking murked these three officers and nothing, not even a flinch.
Right. And it was kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing we know, we're back in the American facility, and they're talking about Hydra, and they have the bat sub, taking it apart, and Stark's looking at it and trying to figure it out, and Stark's even saying how advanced this thing is. And then basically Tommy Lee Jones at this point just grounds Steve. Just says, "You're not going anywhere. You're the last living legacy of the Doctor, so we cannot risk losing you." Right. And then the senator's there and says, "Do you want to serve your country?" Because the senator was looking for, do you remember, BRob, what it was the senator was looking for? He was looking for some sort of angle, wasn't he? Was it for the war bonds? Right. And so he needed something. So this is where they give Steve the costume. They give him a promotion and call him a captain at this point. Not call him, but he is a captain at this point. And they give him the classic Captain America costume and the shield. And it's not the shield that we know. This is the classic Silver Age Captain America shield. The one that's more triangular shape, I guess. Classic shield style.
It was a monkey
and it's
on
just
a
all
unicycle,
song and dance, and
unicycle.
it goes through this montage of all the performances that he had with the girls who are singing. And it gets better and better as it goes on. You can tell he gets more comfortable, but you're just sitting here going, this is not the Captain America that we know. He's just it's just a show is all it is. And you feel kind of bad at this point, I think, for Steve, because he wanted to be so much more, and now he's just performing stage shows.
Yep. He's become a mascot.
And that's what it was. Fast forward, we get to Steve talking to the troops out on the front line. And basically they just blasted him, called him Tinkerbell.
They were
talking about his boots.
Before that, I mean, they did start shipping out Captain America comics.
They did.
You can see the soldiers reading them, the kids get some. It's like typically just like him fighting Nazis on the cover.
So, these are your typical soldiers out in the field. They didn't want to see the guy with the boots and the costume throughout their fighting. They wanted to see the girls, and that's all they wanted. And they're throwing stuff at him. And, Steve's just kind of crestfallen because it was his dream to be a soldier, and he finally thinks, I'm one of them. And he's still an outsider, which made you feel kind of bad for him at this point still. Because, I mean, we've all felt like outsiders, even when who we thought was our own group. And I think that's kind of what resonated with me at this point.
Yeah.
So he gets reunited with Peggy. And then what was he drawing in the book? Do you guys remember?
I don't.
Was it a monkey, you said? Yeah. And in his costume too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it basically showing that he's a trained monkey. And he knows it at this point.
Yeah.
And then he hears something about the 107th. Just getting...
Going back to that notebook, there is something there that may be a little bit of foreshadowing, because on one page he's got the monkey and the clowns, and he's basically feels like a monkey in a suit putting on the show. On the other page, though, is a train
Captain America's
coming through the mountains.
Steve Rogers trying to figure out, what Star is there something between Stark
and looks like it's
Peggy,
involving Italy. So I can't remember if that happens in Italy or if that happens.
They're flying and
somewhere else
says something
later
kind
on.
of just totally Stark-like. It's like, hey, I thought after the drop off,
it's a snow-capped mountain, and there's a train going through it. So
they have great
there's some stuff
fondue,
written that I can't read.
Like, do you guys fondue? Or
so basically,
it was just a really, just the
they find out
Playboy
that
and Stark
the
versus
107th got
guy who's
demolished and
never had more
captured.
than a 5-minute
And
conversation
if you remember,
with a woman. And
107
I think a
is
lot of
the
people
unit
could
that
relate
Bucky
to
was
just
part of.
getting
So he runs off,
you know,
and lo and behold,
blocked,
there's our
essentially,
general again,
and getting the rug pulled out.
and he's asking him, you know, I need to know if Bucky Barnes was one of them. And he said the name sounds familiar. That's all I can remember in that part. But basically they tell him you got to be somewhere in 30 minutes. And then Steve said, you're right, I do have somewhere to be. And then this is where I think we really start to see Captain America, Cap, as Cap. People are in trouble. Even if it means defying orders to do the right thing, that's what he did.
I think he knew how fast he was, and he had certain things, but I don't definitely
his
jumping
information
out
on
of
the
the plane.
draft or the enlistment card.
Yeah, I don't think he knew. Right.
Right. And then he ended up grabbing one of the chorus girls' helmets, and that's where he got the helmet from for his look, for this iconic look. With the, I believe it had the A on it, didn't it? Yeah, for America. So, and they found Stark to fly them over because apparently he's the best civilian pilot there is. And BRob, you brought this up earlier. Why don't you explain this part? Because I thought this part was hilarious when they're in the plane.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dum Dugan.
Fondue blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Fondue blocked. Basically, Steve just jumps out of the plane too. Like at this point, Steve, to me, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he knew his limits yet, like how strong he was and how tough he was.
No, he got thrown straight to the stage too. After,
right?
Like he didn't get a chance to like train and do any of that. He just
amazing.
Got put right on display right out of the bat. Like there's some earlier where he's like holding a motorcycle up, but I don't think that was actually him holding the bike up. So I don't think he knew. Yeah.
His durability. Yeah. So he jumped out without hesitation either, which was just, to me, just kind of total iconic Cap. You know, someone's in trouble, he's going to do whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's, you know, AA guns shooting. You know, next thing you know, we're inside the Hydra base. And what I thought was really cool, I don't know if you guys probably already knew this, but for those of you who didn't, the Hydra standard uniform of they're pushing these American soldiers, the 107, into these cages,
right?
These cells. And it looks almost like the classic Hydra costume, except more like militarized, like with the hard helmets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was a cool little attention to detail. Yeah. With the little eye holes and the, you know, the hood.
Those super cool uniforms.
Yeah. And then they were pushing this one guy and they knocked off his little, what kind of hat is that called? Like a
little bowler hat.
Like a bowler hat. And immediately I knew who that was. Did you know, Kyle?
No.
I know, Brandon, you knew who that was. So that was, what is it? Is it Dum Dum Dugan? Fun fact, I did look up who he was. I'm like, he's been in something else that I know. He played Damon Dark in the Flash TV show and then all throughout the Arrowverse. So Cool little fact. Oh, he was, wasn't he? He plays a great villain. See, I haven't seen Yellowstone yet.
Either.
I've heard good things. So next thing you see, we see Cap breaking in and just being Cap, basically, hitting the bad guys, seeing all these weapons being made with suspicious blue glowing energy. He pockets one of the gun clips that has the energy in there. So we know that Hydra has weaponized the Tesseract at this point. And they're going full force. Cap drops down and lets everyone out and starts basically just this massive prison break. And again, we throw in a Marvel joke where, Steve's saying, I'm going to take the fight to Hitler. I've knocked out Adolf Hitler over 200 times, and all these soldiers are just kind of staring at him.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was just a fun part.
You're just still having something to prove.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where he shines, is when he gets challenged and basically called out. Oh, well, you're nothing. Well, he's like, well, I'll show you. He's got something to prove, and he's driven that way, and so that's typical Cap.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, when we saw Dum Dum, I figured we'd see the Howling Commandos, but I wasn't 100% sure where they were going to go with this.
I don't know. I wish it would have showed more when that changed.
But they did keep centering on like a group of like 5 guys that they would give the screen time to. So I'm like, oh, this has got to be the Howling Commandos at this point.
A gap there that you never saw closed.
I remember thinking that. They steal a tank and just wreak havoc, and just it's a very, very well thought out like battle scene. I thought just very complex with the amount of people that they had in there, but it was a lot of fun.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, I have to jump off.
Then they start
but
destroying the base too. The self-destruct on the base because they didn't want the Americans to have any of the tech. Kyle, take it from here for a sec. I need a drink.
And so they start working through that. I'm trying to get caught up. I'm kind of doing that watch as we go thing. Remember, so they start realizing the power of the weapons that they have. Running the tank through, destroying basically everything they can. They get caught up to the auto. Yeah, so the countdown and destroying the base. And you see where Cap sees I forgot his name again. Zola for the first time, down a hallway. So this is like their first official meeting. And I kind of felt like from earlier in the movie that like Zola wasn't all in, but he just realized how deep he was, and he had no choice but to stick around with it. Because he was super hesitant with his Hell Hydra earlier. You see how quickly he was ready just to get out of there when the shit started hitting the fan. I think he was very reluctant to a point, or at least at this point, of being as involved as he was. But he was just so deep in it that he has to ride it out now.
And but I think what showed us that too is when the guys yelled the Hail Hydra when they killed the Nazis at first.
Yeah, because he's like,
and then he and then he looked at him, he's like, Hail Hydra, real quick, because he knew he was next if he didn't.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Fine. Thank you, BRob.
Thanks for joining us, BRob.
You have a great one.
Okay.
So we find,
Kyle. So
this is where he finds Bucky.
We'll go through.
And Bucky's obviously in some lab. That was the one that Zola ran out of, right?
Yeah, that was the room that Zola ran out of.
And so Bucky,
and there's a map up there too.
Oh, there was. I missed the map. I love maps. Well, and something like we didn't talk about earlier, and I'm still kind of rolling back and forth in my head when Cap was talking with General Tommy Lee Jones about wanting to go in and help and
I'm turning on my light. It's starting to get dark.
yeah, he stands, General stands right next to the map that's on the wall, and he says something along the lines of I think I saw on a poster that you have somewhere to be in 30 minutes. And it's like he's drawing attention to that map. So he's like, I'm thinking he's giving Cap the okay to go without giving the Cap the okay to go. It's like, here it is right here. Do what you want to do with it. And then walks away.
Yeah. See, I kind of took it as, I never thought of it that way. I kind of took it as, he thought of him nothing more as a puppet. And he's like, you got to be out of here in 30 minutes. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of took it, but I've never thought of it that way. So I think you might be right.
Could
By
have been, or
giving
like,
Steve a look at the map.
I can't stand this Captain America guy. I'm just going to send him off to his death.
So go away.
Yeah.
He frees Buck. He gets a good look at this map. And then there's Schmidt up there. And they start having the first fight scene. And I thought this was super, super awesome. Well, because when
map
Steve
too,
punches him,
you see the bomber, the plane in the map scene too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It's right next to the map.
I didn't see that. Okay. I didn't see that. Well, he punches Red Skull and his like right eye is like droopy and red under there, and it looks really weird. And then all of a sudden he starts peeling off the skin to his face, and there's the Red Skull underneath. Which means that in the comic, I think it was a Red Skull like mask.
Yeah. So this
was
reverse
flip. Yeah. It was a human mask.
It's his human face.
It's his human face. It means that his the experimentation he did on himself did this to him.
Yeah. So you may want to explain that a little bit more. So people like me that aren't super familiar with the comics, so you're saying he wore the Red Skull mask. So what was some of his backstory that led him to become the Red Skull then, as it compares to Red Skull here?
Well, I mean, it's almost exactly the same. It's the doctor created the serum in the first early batch was used on Red Skull. Red Skull used it on himself. It was an incomplete batch. And like BRob was saying, it, if you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. It just brings out what your not desire, but like your resolve, I guess, is.
So was the original decision back in the comics for him to wear the mask, the skull mask over the human face? Is that just of the times and like
I don't remember. I don't remember that because that was Silver Age comic. So I don't remember that, to be honest with you. Okay. I have to look at it. If you guys know, post it in the chat.
Yep.
Or if you're like Kyle and I, start yelling at whatever you're listening to. Like we can hear you at the time and we haven't pre-recorded this.
Yep. Just yell the answers at us and I'm sure we'll get it.
We'll get it once in a while.
Yep.
So, then we have this just iconic fight scene where the skull gets away, and you see the bro dynamic more between Bucky and Steve. Like he basically threw Bucky over because Bucky was hurt over this big explosion, and this is the second time we see the super soldier come into play. He probably did this leap. How far would you say that leap was? I mean, it was one end of a giant warehouse to the other.
So I'm looking here. I'm going to say that's a good 60-foot jump. Easy.
At least. And he did a running start, but still, he jumped at least 60 feet. So he is the ultimate super soldier. And next thing,
I was going to say, we get to that where they're flying away and driving away, man. I'm a sucker for how, like in these movies and stuff, how over the top they make all the Nazi vehicles. Like, the car is super long and it's like steampunkish
Overcompensating.
without being steampunkish in a way. It's got the exhaust coming out the sides, like it's just running straight pipes out the side of the hood, and it's like 14 feet long for a little bitty Zola to be driving in. And Red Skull's getaway planocopter thing is like just typical evil guy getaway vehicle. Flies up and out like I love the design of it. And I just saw something I hadn't seen before, and I was trying to go back to look at the motorcycles that they had in their garage. Because one thing I do remember from, those are actually pretty modern bikes, I think. That I do remember from the Captain America run, the first one and everything coming out was just like, this was 2011. This is when I got into motorcycles myself. There were just such a big push from because Cap rode a Harley. I remember that at one point. And so of course, they would have to get permission from Harley to do that. And Harley Davidson being what they are, they're going to ride that son of a bitch until they can ride it no more and get every last mile out of that publicity with it. So that's one thing I really remember from this whole thing was motorcycles were just being thrown in your face about everything. But it looks.
So did they come out with a Captain America version? I don't know.
I don't think they did, but there was. You would see a lot of custom bikes being made, and maybe not necessarily the Cap scheme. And they've always they'll throw back military style bikes from the from that era, from the World War II eras, have always been a stylized choice. There's like a niche for people that make those style bikes and retro bikes to go back to look like that. But it seemed like during that time, like that was that it got popular, like extra popular to do that. And so, that's when like bobbers and things were getting a little bit more steam behind them, which that was a creation of the World War II era bikes. When these guys came back and got out of World War II and they were used to riding these big heavy motorcycles, they wanted to go fast, and that's where these stripped down bobber and chopper style bikes came from. They would get these surplus bikes and strip them down and cut off everything that wasn't necessary on them. So there's some of that culture that carried through on it. But I'm just looking at the bikes that they have in the garages Zola's pulling out, and those don't look like period correct bikes.
It's important to know, like, listen to someone who knows bikes. He's telling you right there. Which is interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Of course, they could have been German bikes too. I don't think, whatever.
But I trust you. I have no clue. Next thing you know, they're declaring Steve dead, basically.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you hear this ruckus and they're all walking, and here comes the 107th and all the captured American soldiers with the tank, and Steve is leading them with Bucky right behind him, and it's basically all the Howling Commandos right behind him. And he's getting the cheers, and he can't help but have this little smile on his face. I don't know if you noticed that. He's got this little smile. It's it's not like he was always looking for smiles. He was always, or cheers. He was trying to always do the right thing. Mm-hmm. But this is what ended up happening.
I'm so glad he got that, because that's something just outside of this movie. I always tell like my kids to do the right thing to do the right thing. And
right.
Don't do it for the accolades. Don't do it for the recognition. Do the right thing because you're doing the right thing. There's a point where no matter what scale of great things you're doing, whether if it's your, saving a whole division from Nazis like Cap's doing, or if you're picking up trash on the side of the road, people don't do that for the recognition, but sometimes they need that little, you did a good job, so they know that they are actually making a difference in the drive to keep going. That's, I tell my kids, don't do it for the recognition. If you see somebody doing something good, that's selfless and of their own time to do it, thank them for doing that, because eventually they're going to not want to do that anymore, just from burnout and stuff. And that's why it's just so good that Cap finally got his, even though that's not what he was in it for. he needed that right then.
Right. And it's not a redemption. It's kind of a affirmation, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Like,
no, I agree. Steve tries to turn himself in for disciplinary action. General says not necessary. I keep calling him the general. I don't know what his title is. He's the general for this movie. And then Peggy Carter just looks at him and says, "You're late." And she's got this look to him like someone just, I love you look. And it's important to note, she looked at him like this. At first she didn't, but when he first gave his first answer of I'm waiting for the right partner, that's when you first see that glimmer.
Okay.
So
she had a little Cap crush before he was Cap.
Right. She liked the widow guys. And then she just stands there just looking at him. And then you hear Bucky, let's hear it for Captain America. And this is the first time that they call him truly Captain America in the sense that he's a soldier, not a puppet, but a soldier. Which I just thought it was a great part. The senator is talking about how he's going to give a medal to his personal friend, Captain America. Cap doesn't come out on this next scene. And it's like his aide or something. And then you see this old 4-star general there going, "I thought he'd be taller," is none other than.
That was, I'm not there yet, but that was Stan Lee.
That was Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are. I love his cameos.
Then I do too. They're great. They make them just clever.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Next thing you know, we're in the war room and Steve is giving them where all these factories are. It was that map that he saw. He memorized it. That just shows how clever Cap is.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, we see this other female next to Tommy Lee Jones, the general. And she's looking at Cap. And the first thing I thought of, I go, "Oh, that is Natalie Dormer." Natalie Dormer from
Game of Thrones. She was in
Game of Thrones. Not the Borgias, the time period piece with Henry.
Crap.
Her most famous role. Now I can't.
Now you can't even spell it. I should the furious typing.
Yes, I'm looking it up real quick. The Tudors.
Oh, so I've never seen it. So
the Tudor. She was Anne Boleyn in the Tudors. That's what my wife knew her from. And Natalie Dormer, who never smiles, but she's just got this pouty look. I love Natalie Dormer. So next thing you know, they're in a bar and they're just chit-chatting with the Howling Commandos.
Are they referred to that or as that in the movie?
Yes, they refer to them in the movie. Not at this point in time.
Okay.
They do once they get to the news article.
Okay.
But right now, they're not the Howling Commandos. And he basically asked, I'm not going to ask you guys, but, I'd love to have you guys with me. And they all agree. They pull another Marvel joke about opening a tab. And everyone in the bar gets silent all of a sudden. And in walks Peggy Carter in this like skin tight, for the time in the 40s dress, just turning heads, going to talk to Steve. And I think this is a pivotal point in the movie. Because while he's talking to Bucky and Peggy walks in to do this, Bucky was always the ladies' man. Bucky's the one who brought the girls to Steve.
Mm-hmm.
He was always the good looking one, the big one.
She just goes right past Bucky.
Yeah. And that's what's great. And she didn't even look at Bucky, if you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
She only had eyes for Steve. And then Bucky is just trying to hit on her. And Peggy is not having it.
Not even looking at him. He talks about going dancing. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and which is a reference for
Earlier
finding the right partner.
Yeah, she actually says the right partner, gives him a time. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there. Or, well, yes, ma'am, I'll be there.
Next thing we know,
I'm turning into you.
That's right. Next thing you'll know, Stark's taking apart that clip with the Tesseract bullet in there, and goes, "What is it?" And I just thought this part was hilarious because it's very a la Tony when he's experimenting.
Yep.
That just shows Tony gets it from his dad. He kind of pinches it with a little claw, and it explodes, and he goes flying back. And I think for the first time they realize, hell, we're dealing with something major here.
Yeah.
I think that's when it really hits them.
There's that little scene, which I didn't know at the end, just now, kind of as we're going through and watching it again. There was a documentary I watched about the demon particle, which is all post World War II stuff, and they were doing a lot of testing with radioactive material, and I guess it was like uranium and stuff like that. And they had a sample there, and that's what it looked like with Tony doing that. Super minuscule stuff, and the tiniest movement caused the reaction. Like a lot of people died from it because the way the guy was doing the testing, like they had it encased in the protective like dome thing, and he's using like a screwdriver and a ruler or something trying to lever it open. I'll find that and I'll get that out to you guys too, but it's just that little bit there.
Right. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Kyle and I love picking apart this kind of stuff. It's just fun for us, and we appreciate you guys listen to us about it.
A lot of these,
just throwing in that tidbit.
Like we make no, we're not hiding it. We've got another screen pulled up, and we're going scene by scene, and so you'll see us looking over a lot. So we're watching the movie with you guys as we're kind of going through it and breaking things down, and I like it because some of these I haven't seen, in years, so my memory's a little foggy. Chris is going back and rewatching them right before, and I do some when I can, but it's great to go back and do this because we're pausing and we're skipping ahead, and we're pausing and skipping ahead. If I'm just going to sit down and watch the movie, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch the movie, and I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. But this, gives me a chance to kind of sit down and break it down like frame by frame, and really just scan over each scene and try to grab something, a little tiny. So like a lot of the stuff that you hear us say, oh, well, this part, a lot of it we knew, a lot of it Chris knew, but a lot of it we're catching too, just really quick because we're pausing as we're going and looking at these scenes. So that gives us a chance to kind of grab these cool little things and throw them out there to you guys.
Right. And it's not like we're watching this for the first time.
No.
Like Kyle said, it may be a little foggy. It goes back to episode 1. It's hard being an older nerd because you forget shit.
But so, it's all coming back to me as we go through it. Yeah.
But we're not hiding this at all.
No. We just can't show you guys because, copyright stuff and all that. But
yep. So, but Peggy's out there talking, and then all of a sudden, Natalie Dormer's character, who was literally only in 2 scenes in this movie, starts hitting on him, and then starts tongue punching him.
Yep.
She pulls him back and just starts tongue punching him, and Peggy comes around the corner, and the look of a woman scorned was on her face.
Yep.
And Steve's like, I got to do damage control. Agent Carter. And she's like, I don't think anything. Nothing.
Every time I see a pretty blonde-haired, blue-eyed female in a World War II era movie, and they're on the good guy's side, I always think secret Nazi. It's a secret Nazi.
Yep.
Because Indiana Jones has given me trust issues with blonde-headed women in Nazi-themed movies.
Personally, I like the brown-haired women.
Not a lot of the female Nazis that were. Well, I take that back. I guess. Crap. What was her name? She was in. She's been in a lot of movies, but she was the one that yelled alarm. No, she would. Never mind. I'm getting my Austin Powers and my Indiana Jones cross. Never mind. Carry on.
Foxy Cleopatra?
High alarm.
Peggy basically, this is where it goes back to the fondue joke. He goes, "Aren't you and Stark fonduing?" And Peggy just rolls her eyes and goes, "You still don't know a bloody thing about women." And just goes to show that he's the ultimate super soldier, but still didn't know shit about women.
No, not a clue.
Stark's going through his new armor, his new, I think, was it Kevlar?
I thought he was using.
It's carbon polymer.
I thought he was using vibranium at that point.
Well, he was using vibranium for the shield.
Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind. I got too far ahead.
So, he said, "I hear you're kind of attached." And he said, he came up with a bunch of different shield options. But then he sees this one round one that's below there, and he's like, "What is this one?" And it isn't spray painted at the time. And he goes, "Oh no, that's just a prototype. That's vibranium, stronger than steel, twice as sound absorbent,
third of its weight."
And then this is the first time we hear of vibranium, which plays a major part in the Marvel universe, because we know that vibranium only comes from Wakanda. We don't know this at the time. It'll take us 10 years to get there to find this out. But for those of you who knew the lore, vibranium comes from Wakanda only. Somehow Stark got a hand on it.
Have we had the what is stronger, vibranium versus adamantium conversation?
We have not, but I think that should come up soon.
If we haven't yet, it's going to come up soon in the MCU anyway. Going to have to.
Yeah, sooner than later. With the introduction of Wolverine imminent.
Yep.
Listen to our Nerkies. We'll talk more about that.
I'm sure there's a heated discussion online somewhere about adamantium versus vibranium.
I think we need to do that in an episode coming up anyway.
Which both came from a very close geographical area to each other. So.
So Peggy walks up. Steve goes, "What do you think?" And she doesn't say a word. She's still pissed. He goes, "What do you think?" She grabs a gun. Doesn't say a word. Grabs a gun and just starts firing. And these bullets just hit the ground flat, basically. And she just sighs and goes, "Yes, I think it works." And then just puts the gun down and walks past him. Gives him this go to hell look.
Before that point, did they even bring any mention at all that, hey, this shield's bulletproof?
Nope, not at all.
Damn it, Peggy.
Yep. And Steve gave Stark this thing of, I got some ideas for the costume. And this is where we have the classic Cap costume that we see.
Yeah.
And
he's slowly looking better.
Yeah. And this is where he has that Harley bike you were talking about too.
I think it's a Harley at this. I'll see when we get to it. I'm pretty sure it was.
Whatever the bike is. It's an awesome bike. Whatever it is.
I know he ends up riding one at some point. And I'm trying to remember if it's this early into the series or not.
But it's I don't know if at this point they're calling them the Howling Commandos, but it's a montage of them attacking Nazi bases. Oh, and this is the.
You know who else rode a Harley in the whole Marvel universe?
Oh,
Scott Summers.
Oh, Wolverine.
Well, he stole Scott's. He stole Cyclops' bike. Well, in the movies he did.
In the movie, because Wolverine was a big Harley rider in the comics.
Yeah, and he stole Scott's bike at one point in time.
Oh, that's right. Crossing universes, but now it's all the same universe.
We cross the streams. Okay.
Don't cross the streams. But we go through this montage, and then next thing we know, this is what I thought was an iconic Cap moment too. He's leading through the forest. He's obviously ahead of everyone else. They have their guns drawn, and then he sees something, grabs his shield and tosses it, hits this Nazi in a tree, this Hydra, and it comes back to him. This is the first time we see Cap's shield, bounce off something and come back to him, showing that the classic that Cap knows angles well enough to know how it's going to bounce and come back. That's always been his thing too. He's super smart.
You never want to play a game of pool against Cap.
No, or Jenga.
Or Jenga, yeah.
definitely not Jenga. But this is where then they get to the film. Peggy's sitting watching this film with the general. And this is, I believe, where they call him Cap and his Howling Commandos. You see them all sitting there, and Cap opens up his compass, showing, and there's a picture of Peggy inside of there.
Mm-hmm.
And the general just gives her this smirk, and Peggy just kind of looks over at him and kind of gives this little smile. But it shows that this is the pocket watch that we see later that Cap always keeps on him.
Yeah.
With Peggy's picture in there. So, which means there's something between Cap and Peggy, which we knew from the get-go.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's some with Cap for Peggy, and she just had this look like the egg on my face look, because he didn't know he was being filmed. He didn't know that they were going to capture that, and she knew that he didn't know, because that's the type of guy he is. And just that look on her face was like, damn it.
That's what it was.
Damn it, Steve.
So next thing you know, another montage of them attacking this base, and this scene where Cap, there's an explosion behind him, and he's throwing the shield, and it's coming right at you like 3D style.
Mm-hmm.
That's that opening scene when it does the Marvel credits of Cap throwing his shield. That's that scene right there.
Oh, okay. Did you watch this in 3D?
Uh-huh. I believe I did.
Cool. I didn't watch many of these in theaters at all. I watched a couple, but I watched most of them.
I don't remember now.
That scene would have been awesome in 3D.
I don't remember. That was 10 years ago.
I barely remember if I've even watched this movie. I'm just making sure.
I remember I was cold last night, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some cool 3D like scenes, and the Skull is just getting pissed at this point. They're destroying all their factories. And we are getting towards the end here of, we know something. We know we're everything's coming to a head at this point.
Yeah.
The Skull's getting pissed.
Hydra's getting picked apart.
One. They only have one factory left at this point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the iconic train scene that Kyle referenced earlier. That was in his sketchbook. And
in Cap's sketchbook, not my sketchbook. You guys don't get to see that.
Yeah, and no, Kyle's sketchbook's private.
Mm-hmm.
So Bucky and another one of the Howling Commandos. I don't know which one this is. He speaks French, though. I know that. And Cap all zipline onto this moving train. And they're going in there. And this is cool. Like, you have these massively armored. I liken them to the first time we saw in the new Star Wars movies, the Flame Troopers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. These guys come out with this massive gun shooting at Cap. And of course, Cap demolishes him and Bucky's pinned down. And then there's another gun guy. It's just a big fight scene on the train, which is just awesome. Just shows.
I love train fight scenes anyway.
They're just cool.
Mm-hmm. I've been in several Marvel movies, or at least, well, I say several, 2 for sure that I can think of. But
what was the other one?
There was one in the Wolverine. Was the Wolverine the one where he went to Japan? Yeah, that was the bullet train one.
Yeah.
And it seems like there was another one that I'm not thinking of. I don't know if you guys know of another. I'll look it up and see, but I know for sure at least these 2.
So then there was another, one of the big gunners that shoots at Cap and hits him in the shield and blows the side out of the train. Why is this important? Because this is about to be a pivotal point, a turning point in the Captain America saga.
Yeah. Does Bucky get shot?
Bucky picks up Cap's shield, and the guy shoots him, and he doesn't have the super soldier resistance that Cap does. So Bucky goes flying once this energy weapon hits the shield, because it absorbs sound. It's vibration. And Bucky's holding on to the train, and Cap goes to get him, and then Bucky just plummets to his death with a laser. We're doing air quotes right now. Plummets to his death. They captured.
That's where I was going with that one. Yeah.
they capture Zola and they bring him steak. Tommy Lee Jones does, and they're talking. They're basically just trying to get him to give up the locations of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we find out that he may not be as afraid of them as he is of Hydra at this point.
Yeah. I like how when they bring him into the interrogation room before they bring him steak, he notices like the little splat of blood on the floor that was probably almost intentionally put there. I could see Tommy Lee Jones' character doing that just to intimidate him.
Yeah, I could see that too. And this is where you find out that at this point Zola has totally drank the Kool-Aid, the Hydra Kool-Aid. Where before he was kind of on the fence. This one, you know, he basically thinks of Red Skull as a god at this point. And you find out that his target's the whole world. And you see that giant plane at this point too. It's a bomber of some kind. I don't know what kind.
I mean, it's a very early stealth bomber looking, like it's the B-52 that has that profile, or not the B-52.
Yeah.
But,
Super Fortress.
No, it's not the B. It's the single wing.
Oh, I know what you're talking. The stealth bomber.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called now,
but basically, you know, Skull's basically given his speech, and in the grand scheme, I don't think it's a big thing. It's just Skull saying we're basically going to destroy the world.
Yeah, not a big thing.
Not a big thing. But then you see Peggy finding Steve in this bar that's been destroyed, and he's drinking alone. And you come to find out he did say my metabolism would speed up. So, you know, it sucks about, and he's resistant to poisons and stuff. He goes, you know what that means? I can't get drunk. And he's just trying to get drunk because of Bucky.
Yep.
And this is when he, after Bucky's death, this is what cements that Cap is going to destroy Hydra at this point. Red Skull and Hydra.
Yep. This is when it got really personal for him. Extra personal. I mean, it's already been personal once. He's went after Bucky once to save him. And now it's revenge for Bucky. And so, yeah, I mean, he's doing it for duty and country, but once his personal vendetta got thrown in the mix, and that's when he just goes uber badass.
Right. Next thing you know, they're having their war meeting, and then all of a sudden Cap is on his. Did you figure out if it's a Harley?
I'm skipping forward to get a look at it. I'm about to pause it. Yeah, they're at the war meeting. I could probably just Google it to see.
Huh.
But
So
I'm
Cap's
pretty sure that's
driving on his.
what they wrote anyway. So,
Right.
I'm
So Cap's driving on his bike. It's a very, very customized bike because it's got tripwires. It's got flamethrowers on it. He's got all these Hydra agents after him, and he's just taking them out left and right with his bike. And then the next thing you know, he pulls the pin on of one of them, the grenade that's on there, and just they explode. He puts his shield up front, and the shield actually isn't damaged at all. It's like the paint job. It's just scorch marks from like explosions and stuff.
I heard it. It was a Harley.
It was a Harley. Okay.
Yeah, it was a 1942 Harley Davidson WLA Liberator with custom editions.
That's awesome looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the big fight scene where Cap rides in and explodes the Harley, which I'm sure was sad for Kyle.
It was a sad moment. That bike did not get enough screen time. Oh yeah,
it didn't.
They're uber futuristic looking Hydra bikes,
which I think they're really cool looking.
Oh yeah, they're really cool looking. I don't know what they are.
But Cap gets in, he's just demolishing everyone. Then he gets surrounded by the Hydra agents, and he gets captured. And you're like, no. Cap doesn't get captured, but then you kind of quickly figure out this is all part of the grand plan.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't figure this out, you've never watched a superhero movie in your life, or a movie.
Extra cunning Cap.
Extra cunning Cap. And then he's going to talk to Skull, and Skull actually punches him. And, a regular punch from someone wouldn't do anything to Cap.
Mm-mm.
But he punches Cap in the stomach and then the face, backhands him, and Cap's down on his knees, gasping for air.
Yeah. He feels it. He definitely
and then
feels it.
He does feel it. He looks up and he tells him, I could do this all day. Line comes in again.
There it is.
From there, all of a sudden, here's the plan. Guys jump in. It's the commandos jump in and rescue Cap.
They're such badass.
They really are. So
these are just normal dudes coming in and like raiding a supervillain's cliche mountainside fortress.
These are your first elite shield agents.
Yeah,
is what they are. This, and you can tell this is the scene. This is the fight scene that we've been waiting for. The Americans that are charging in are getting disintegrated by these weapons, and Dum Dum ends up getting one, and so he's disintegrating people. And lo and behold, who do you see in the middle of this fight too, running in with the Americans? It's Tommy Lee Jones and Peggy Carter.
Yep.
Which I thought was awesome.
To me, if I was a bad guy and I saw Tommy Lee Jones running towards me, I would surrender at that point. Like, because it's not going to.
I'd just jump into the dam.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That would be.
I'd jump into the dam to get away from him.
Like, he's making dad jokes to the end.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Where can I get some Hydra soldiers?
Damn. So we get more into it, and Cap throws his shield as Skull's trying to get away, and he lodges it in the door, and of course the doors can't break it. It's vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
Peggy tells Cap go after him, and you see the Tesseract. Skull is inside the plane, and the Tesseract's in there, and he starts up the plane, and Cap's going after him at this point. And you see what the target is. Do you remember what the target was?
New York City.
New York City. So Cap is just trying to get into the plane, but the plane takes off. And he's not fast enough to run after it. Because it's, a plane with jet engines and propellers.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, Peggy and the general show up, and Skull's uber long phallic car.
The Dickmobile.
The Dickmobile. It's Ace and Gary's car.
God, I haven't thought of that in so long. Very ambiguous automobile.
It's very ambiguous. They hit the turbo boosters, and this thing is fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's catching up to a plane.
Well, as long as it is, it's got to have like 72 cylinders. So
72.
Yeah, the old German V72 Uber Palace is really
overcompensating.
Yeah.
Steve's about to jump, and Peggy pulls him closer, and they actually share a kiss. This is, we knew it was leading up to this.
It was a moment.
It was a moment, and this just cements the legacy of Steve and Peggy. I think, like the love that they shared.
Yeah, and I really think it lends a hand to German automobile engineering as well.
I think it does too. It lends a hand to German automobile. So, to show how sturdy vibranium is too, Steve's ducking to try and get on this plane, and the propeller hits the shield and nothing happens. So, Steve gets on the plane. He sneaks on, and all of a sudden German soldiers are starting to mobilize. Well, he sees these bombs basically with Chicago, New York, all the major cities of America at the time.
It really goes to show like how organized Red Skull was. Like he labeled everything. He had a list. BRob would have loved this.
He got up in the morning and he said, "I shall label this New York."
As he's sipping his coffee. There's like a mental image of just Red Skull like walking around in loafers and like a bath, like not a bathrobe, but like a smoking jacket, drinking his fresh brewed German coffee and just riding around like a
German's choice, Hydra's choice. That's awesome. Labeling the rocket.
You must go to Boston. You must go to Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Well, do you think he had a coffee cup that said "This is Red Skull's"? It's like, who touched my cup?
World's greatest Red Skull.
World's greatest Nazi. We crack ourselves up, folks. Steve's fighting the people. They jump in, and these end up turning into like propeller planes. That are
pause on the
guidable,
labeling.
that are bombs.
Yeah.
Put pause on the labeling. But Steve jumps out into one. Like, so Steve is in the middle of the air. This shows, holding on to this, punches through the damn cockpit, basically.
Yeah.
And is flying back into the super fortress or whatever it is you call.
And as you're talking about the guided bombs, remind me to talk to you about the chicken guided bombs from World War II. Wondering if we ever get anything that would involve that.
Yeah. Let's do that. And now that I'm looking at it more, it does look like that the stealth bomber.
Yeah, is what they actually did back in World War II to do. They had guided bomb technology then, but they had like a small camera connected to the bomb itself, and they trained chickens to peck at pictures of ships. And so they would have like I think it was a chicken in the bomb, and they would peck at the picture, and that would guide because they couldn't like remote guide the bomb. And so they would use chickens to guide the bombs. That was like the early. I hope I'm not totally pulling that out of my ass. I swear I watched or read about that somewhere about chicken guided bombs. And
we're gonna have to read about this now. And I hope it's real,
it's a thing.
It's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually awesome.
Release the guided missile.
So, okay, we're looking at this more.
I went down a rabbit hole.
No, I'm trying not to think about that because I'm just gonna crack up the rest of the episode. Which we're at the end here. I'm gonna crack up the rest if I think about this.
It's clucking funny, okay? It's a thing.
It is clucking funny. Oh, you're just pulling my feathers now.
Oh, it wasn't chickens, it was pigeons. Okay. Sorry.
No, in our universe it's chickens.
No.
They're cock bombs.
Way cooler than a pigeon.
It is way cooler than a pigeon.
But it does solve the pigeon infestation problems that some cities had. They not only eradicated them, they put them to use.
They gave him jobs.
Yeah. So Cap's flying the bomb.
The bomb, he's in there. He's fighting Skull. Skull puts it on autopilot, and Steve's trying to crash the plane. He puts it into a dive.
Yeah.
And they both go flying, but both being super soldiers, Skull makes it up there and levels out the plane, puts it on autopilot, and he's just firing his weapon, and it's the classic good guy bad guy fight scene. Is what it is. He shoots at Cap. He's got a shield, and Cap throws his shield, hits Skull where he hits the Tesseract, which causes this major, you can see the energy going everywhere.
Yeah.
And the Tesseract goes out.
Get a little flash of the cosmos.
Picks it up with, right. And that's what it is. And Skull picks it up with his bare hands, and it activates. And then, like Kyle was saying, we get a flash of the cosmos, and Steve starts to figure out what it is, and then all of a sudden, Skull starts disappearing. Like his skull becomes a skull, and like
Mhm.
he becomes like energy, or he's transported. We don't know at this time what it is.
Yeah.
We know this is the Tesseract's an entity of immense power, but we don't know what happened to Skull.
Right.
Hits the ground and just melts through the grating and just goes down there. Starts falling through the cockpit. And Steve calls it in and tells Peggy, I've got to put this thing down. Peggy picks up, he calls base, and he tells her, I've got to put this thing down. I don't have very much longer. It's over water. If this thing explodes over a populous area, that's it. It's over.
Mhm.
I've got to put it down now. And I think at this point in time, this was an oh shit moment for me. It's like, oh God, he's going to sacrifice himself. Even though I knew what happened in the comics, that Cap was frozen. I don't think I remembered it happening quite like this.
How do you remember him being frozen in the comics? Or do you have a good recollection?
And that's the thing. I don't. I need to go back and look at that. I don't recall how he was frozen in the comics. It wasn't because of an Infinity Stone, I don't think, though. So I got to look that. If you guys know, put it in the chat.
Yep.
And I'll look that up too. But now we're looking, and Steve's gonna crash it, and they're talking about how they're gonna be a date, and Peggy told him, "Don't be late." They're gonna go dancing, and
the heartstrings being tugged,
and that's what it was at this point. She's like, he'd say, I'd hate to step on your, and then boom, it just went all static from there. And Peggy just lost it at that point. She kept going, Steve, and she's crying. So you knew that, Steve was gone at this point. And then we see the wreckage in the Arctic, basically. And then the ship starts
through and it sinks down.
Yep. And next thing you know, we have the scene of, the Allies winning the war, and they're all drinking to Cap. The Howling Commandos are not celebrating. No. Then the next thing you know, there's this really claptrap looking portal robot in the water.
Well, James Cameron shows up.
Well, or Jack Black now, because Jack Black's supposed to be Claptrap in the movie.
Oh,
they just cast him as Claptrap.
I forgot there's going to be a movie. I was thinking Titanic when they're like, or didn't James Cameron lead an expedition to?
Yeah, he did it, didn't he?
I think so. I think he went down there. That crazy son of a bitch did it.
He did it, but we see it's Stark retrieving the Tesseract. So we know the Tesseract's been retrieved by Stark, and then there's a picture. Peggy's going through like Steve's file, the hand or something, and it's a picture of not Captain America, but 90-pound, 5'6" Steve Rogers that she got weepy over. Which to me, that hit me in the feels right there. That was like, okay, she truly loved him for him, not for being Captain America.
Yep.
She loved Steve Rogers. And then, we have a kid with a shield, with a trash can lid, like Cap's shield.
Yep. And
he's playing, and then all of a sudden it goes dark. But it only goes dark for a couple seconds. Do you remember what this part is? What happened on this part?
I do not. I want to see if it's getting ready to come back to me though.
I'll let you go over this part.
So you get some radio chatter. Hearing the radio, so then you see Cap's eyes starting to open up, and so he's waking up. So this is he's hearing things on the radio. He's still wearing the shirt from the what you call it,
from the 40s.
From the 40s. He's listening to. I wish I knew what game this was that he was actually listening to. I think that would yield some stuff to it. Lady walks in. He asks, "What did he ask her here?" That's what time it is. Oh, he asked where he is. Where am I?
Yep.
He's in a recovery room in New York City. Very confused. Still listen to the Dodgers game on the radio. And, it's a very period correct room that he is in. Like it seems very odd. And then you see her just like hit this little switch that she's got in her hand.
Huh.
And, it's all a ruse. He was actually being held in, I'm just going to guess it would be like a acclimation type room or whatever to adjust him to the new environment. So he's just not fully in shock. But
right
now we see him in.
What's because he said, did you mention that it's because he knew he was in the wrong place because he knew he was at the game?
That's what it was. Yeah.
He told the month and the day it was on and the year. I think he did. And he said, this game, I was there.
Yeah.
And that's why he asked, where am I really?
And
it just
all hell breaks loose, him busting free. And then
May 41.
Yep. He's in downtown New York City now and just, taking in that time travel shock. And he's finally cordoned off, and you see Nick Fury approaching. Apologize to him for the little show back there. So that's when we know, okay, we're seeing some more Avengers come together now. Collector Nick is grabbing all of his
toys.
All of his toys.
Collectibles.
Let's get him out of the closet. And it explains to him, that he's been asleep for almost 70 years. Cap still just trying to take it all in.
Because he's in the middle of Times Square, where
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have ever been to Times Square. The first time I went to Times Square, it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
And I'm from today.
Yeah.
Can only imagine, being asleep for 70 years and trying to take this in.
And then another tug at the heartstrings of his final line for this movie was, "I had a date."
Yep. Which just
right in the feels, man.
It really does. And you just sit here going, oh, he had a date. And that's it for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the Easter eggs I had for that, where I think we went over almost all of it. Yeah, that's it. We hit it all. So
yeah. I mean, we had the post credits where he's punching the punching bag. Punches through it, knocks it down. Fury asked me if he's had trouble sleeping. Is this where he asked him to join? Tells him he's there with a mission. And the mission is to save the world, not to get back into the world, but to save it.
That's right.
And then you start seeing S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. They show, on Disney Plus, it does show the preview to the Avengers movie, which probably the trailer was probably already out by then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess, because I think it was it known then that this is what was happening? This is what was going to happen?
I don't remember. I think it did, though. It did.
I can't think that far back.
So now we've gone through 2 hours and 40 minutes of Captain America.
Ooh, yeah.
So, but now we haven't done this in a while. So now is the time on the show we call Nerddrome. Two nerds enter, one nerd leaves.
The other nerd is a little sad because he lost. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take some names from popular culture, nerd culture. We throw them into a randomizer. And we're going to do the classic who would win in a battle debate. But we throw a little wrinkle in there where we don't know who we're going to get. That's totally random. We don't know the location that the battle will take place in. Locations had some effect on it. But we also don't know the activity that they're going to be doing. So it's not going to be a typical fight. We've had, what do we have? We had baking a cake one time. We had zombie apocalypse survival. And so the biggest, baddest, and strongest is not necessarily the automatic winner. And so we'll run this through, and you guys will see in the video description, we'll have a link to the Discord in there, and we put up every week whenever we release an episode, you guys the opportunity to vote on who actually won the Nerd battle here. And we'd love for you guys to go out there and vote on that. So
and I will tell you guys, I have not won one yet.
Mm-hmm. You really have to be like, I mean, you have to really be convincing with your argument. You have to be a master debater to really knock out solid in the Nerd Room.
Well, and the thing is, we don't have any time to prepare for this, so we're just literally talking out our asses.
No, but I've looked out and I've got characters I've known every time, but as soon as I get one that I don't know, it's going to be terrible.
Well, and that's what makes this kind of fun. All right, so can you see my screen? Okay, I will go first. Bubba Hotep.
That's a good one.
But it is, but I don't remember anything about the movie.
I don't either. I just remember I liked the movie because I had Bruce Campbell and I thought he was Elvis. So
yeah, and he was in a retirement home, and that's all I remember.
Wait,
so that's going to be a little difficult for
Was
Chris.
Bubba Hotep, was that the character that he did play, or was that the... We may have messed up on that.
I think we might have messed up on that.
Because Bubba Hotep was the actual...
That was the mummy, wasn't it?
That was the mummy. Yeah. It was a very...
Oh, damn it. Yeah, because it's Elvis. Yeah, because so... Oh, man. So Bubba Hotep... Yeah,
but we meant Bruce Campbell as Elvis in this. I'll give you... If you want to take the mummy, you can take Bruce Campbell or you can take the mummy. I'll give you either one. I don't care.
I'll take the Elvis because it's... The mummy wouldn't do anything. So I'll go with the... If you're going to give me that, I'll go with the Elvis.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Cool.
Because I really may need some forgiveness with whatever I get here.
You know this one.
I'm good.
Homer Simpson.
I got Homer.
Damn it.
Oh.
Location.
Yeah, Homer mummy battle would have been fun, though.
The Satellite of Love.
Okay.
From Mystery Science Theater 3000. And the event. Grilling.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Okay, well, I picked first, so I'll go first.
Okay.
Bruce Campbell as Elvis from Bubba Hotep has been transported to the Satellite of Love for the sole purpose of grilling. Now, Elvis loved fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches, so he would have grilled the shit out of those. The reason why is because he knows how tasty they are. The event is just grilling. That's all he has to do. Elvis became chunky, not to fat shame. He became fat Elvis in the later years. So you knew he liked food.
Yeah.
He loved food. He liked women and food, and he knew the way to a woman's heart was through good grilling. Literally, that's all I have for this. I don't have anything else. And I can't figure out how to use the Satellite of Love on this. I am literally drawing a blank.
So Homer, in preparation for grilling, he has a very special sauce ready, and so we just said grilling, so we're not assuming a particular food. So he could be grilling chicken. He could be grilling barbecue chicken, and you know that you're when you're grilling and barbecuing, your end result is only as good as the sauce that you use. So Homer's going to have a great sauce to be able to use. I mean, he's going to have, it's going to be a good beer influenced sauce with Duff, but the base of almost any barbecue sauce is tomato. But Homer has a little something special up his sleeve. Not just any tomato. He has some tobacco. So with Homer's Duff and tobacco barbecue sauce, which is probably amplified in its addictive ability, because if you don't know, tobacco is a cross between tomato and tobacco. Some goats get addicted to it. Bad shit happens. But just like with anything in space, cosmic rays are probably going to amplify the effect of this. So being in the satellite of love is just going to work to the advantage of the addictive properties of the tobacco once they're hit with the cosmic rays. His tobacco duff cosmic barbecue sauce is going to be so addictive that he's not going to be able to make it fast enough. He's going to be able to make millions off of this, move out of Springfield, wherever, and retire on the beaches of wherever he wants to, because of the amplified properties of the tobacco duff cosmic barbecue sauce. I rest my case.
I think we know which way this one's gonna go. My argument was shit on this one. Like I could not literally think of, I could not think of anything for this one. So I'm gonna vote for Homer.
That's how the crumbles cookie right there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So shit. We're gonna post it when it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Vote. I think we know which way this one will go. What are you reading or watching this week, sir?
Well, since we did an episode we recorded literally night,
yesterday, you can say the same thing.
Nothing has changed. So in this past week, I have been continuing my journey through the Fox X-Men universe. I'm about to wrap that up. I did read House of M, which is at the time of recording still free if you have Amazon Prime and Kindle. You can read House of M if you're into WandaVision. I'm reading it because it was highly recommended by my co-host Chris here and Justin, who does the Nerkies with us, that it is central. It is likely very central to the plot of WandaVision. So I did read that. Uh-huh. It's a short read. You can knock it out in an hour and a half or so. But I will go back.
As long as you don't read the companions to them. Yeah, just the main storyline.
The main story was that. Now I've got to get off into the companions and all that. So, yeah, that was that's my reading and watching lineup for this past week. And this week I'm going to try to recover from my anime interruptus and finish watching Cowboy Bebop. Nice. And then finish watching the X-Men movies. I think I'm on to the Logan now. So I just have a couple left.
So I am reading or watching. I'll go with the latest chapter of One Piece came out. One Piece has been going on for 20 years. It is just epic, and I love it. It's a manga, and they're on the Wano arc. It's the samurai arc, and it's coming to a head. Like, it's the big battle with Luffy versus two of the Emperors of the Sea. It's just epic, and I can't get enough of it when it comes out. And it's been so sporadic lately; it makes me want to read it more. So that's what I'm reading.
What'd you learn this week?
What did I learn this week? I learned that when you and I get going on shit we like, we can talk forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that is I don't know if that's a strength or a weakness.
Well, and this is just something. This movie was one that I'm just not. I've seen it a couple times, but I'm not super familiar where I can quote things and really recall a lot of stuff. But it's it may come off like, oh, well, he hasn't watched this at all. Like, I've watched it a few times, but struggling to remember. But I can, I'll end up off on some damn tangent about freaking pigeon chicken bombs and stuff like
bombs.
Watch out, cock bombs. We need to make a shirt.
Cock bomb. EGTN cock bomb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I get a thought in my head that I want to share, I've got to get it out because I know I'll forget it if I don't get it out right then. So that's why you guys got cock bombed tonight, because I just had to get it out there.
What did you learn? Is that what you learned too?
No,
we can combine them.
No, I learned that I am a better Viking than Chris this week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris gets yelled at a lot when he's a Viking.
We've been playing Valheim, and streaming. So if you guys don't know, it's a Viking inspired survival game that's out on Steam right now. It's like $20. If you like survival games, it's fun. If you like Vikings, it's fun. We're just kind of scratching the surface of it. So I'll be streaming that quite a bit, I think now. It's a good group stream that we can do with the community. So you guys kind of be watching Discord for that. I'll be throwing some stuff out there for that in our EGTN and my Discord both. So we're always looking for, hopefully for more Vikings. We'll have a dedicated server soon. And
I'm the Viking den mother.
He is. Chris is great at grilling meat and punching deers to death. So
and trees.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that there's supplies and there's food in there, because literally I'll put it all in there and all these bastards eat literally all the food. And then my guy's like, I'm hungry. And it's like, oh, there's no food.
Poor Chris, for the longest time, he didn't have an axe, didn't know how to make an axe, and didn't tell us that he didn't have nor know how to make an axe. I think he spent like 4 hours just running through this Viking wilderness, punching trees and bringing back lumber. And so, like, all of us are really good with swords and axes. We've leveled our things up. They're pretty good. Chris is like a freaking brawler, like level 30 unarmed skill.
Level 30 unarmed right now.
Because all he's done is punch trees for 3 days.
But it's so fun.
Punch trees and punch me. So
both and cock bombs.
And cock bombs.
We're gonna make shirts. So with that, our next episode will be the final part of phase 1, the Avengers. If we took 3 hours for Captain America, Avengers is going to be at least 3 hours. We appreciate you guys sticking in there.
Yeah, we may have to split that one into a 2-parter.
It might
possibly.
Be.
So God, I hope you guys made it through this. We barely made it through this.
I do too. With that, I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle. And this has been Every Man's Guide to Nerding. Thank you guys for sticking it out this long, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Nerd Corker, rise up. It could get elevated. Nerd